Chapter 784, Soaked with Blood, So What? What incredible strength. Tang Yuyu was still looking at her hands. She knew that the brain was an extremely powerful tool. With its power a cultivator could make the sky change colors. She knew that some cultivators could even destroy the vault of heaven, but until now, she had only been able to understand the tip of the iceberg. So this is what it feels like to have power, whispered Tang Yuyu. According to rumors, there were extremely strong cultivators who could understand cultivation principles sporadically, as if they reached the nirvana. Even though Tang Yuyu didn't achieve supreme enlightenment, the sudden divine lights enabled her to release a terrifying punch. Relying on that terrifying punch and the Xiaoyao footwork agility technique, she could defeat most cultivators of the 9th Xian Qi layer. She had broken the opponent's bones a moment before, while the other guy escaped after witnessing the explosive power of her attack. Lin Feng finished copying the 81 patterns on the wall. The expression in his eyes showed weariness. He glanced at the wall and didn't feel like leaving, he still wanted to study them. The 81 patterns represented sword attacks of different degrees. So far, he could understand a tiny part of it. If he took some time, maybe a few days, he could deeply understand the drawings, then he would become stronger and his cultivation speed would increase. However, he didn't have too much time to cultivate right now. After he finished copying the drawings, Lin Feng bowed in front of the skeleton on the ground. Even though they weren't alive anymore and that Lin Feng didn't know who he was still grateful. Lin Feng raised his head and looked at the wall, still hesitant to leave. If you want the senior to rest in peace, you need to destroy the wall. Tang Yuyu said from behind Lin Feng. Her women's intuition was impressive, she understood Lin Feng. She could guess why Lin Feng looked so hesitant. The carvings in that wall are incredibly useful for sword cultivators. If I destroy them, those who come after will never be able to see them. That would be a pity, Lin Feng whispered. He didn't feel like destroying the wall. That cultivator took great efforts to make the carvings, and now they have been transmitted to you. Passing them to a capable person was probably his aspiration, and now that you copied them, he has nothing to regret. If you don't destroy them now, he will never rest in peace. Tang Yuyu explained. Lin Feng remained silent as he released incredible sword intent. Go, whispered Lin Feng. 10,000 swords bombarded the wall at the same time. The wall emitted incredible buzzing sounds while trembling. Huge holes, cracks and fissures appeared on the wall which quickly fell apart. Lin Feng and Tang Yuyu rose up in the air and heard rumbling sounds behind them. It was the small house, it had just collapsed, and no sword chi would ever emerge from it again. The skeleton of the strong cultivator was now under a pile of ruins, now he would never draw people's attention again. Initially, we came together, crossing space using the sacrificial altar. It's only been a few days and we are already separated. I wonder where Jun Mo Shi and Yunfei Yang are and what they are doing, sighed Lin Feng. Let's continue moving forwards. Maybe we will run into them. Tang Yuyu replied. Lin Feng nodded, continued flying northwards. Lin Feng and Tang Yuyu came across caves and vast palaces in the distance. They were all in ruins with only a simple qi emerging from them. However, that simple qi slightly felt ancient and mysterious, drawing in some cultivators. Besides the ruins, there were weapons scattered all around, some of them were quite old. It seemed like a great war had occurred here. But somewhere, blood was dripping, blood that still contained vitality. Some of the corpses were still hot, freshly killed by others. Around the corpses were several strong cultivators, gathered in a circle. That was the entrance to a cave, where dust and sand had been accumulating for thousands of years. However, on that thick layer of dust were some footprints as if someone had entered recently. Two cultivators were standing on a mountain above the entrance to that cave, they looked majestic and imposing. They were both very young and their chang pao were fluttering in the wind. The one on the left looked like an unrestrained hero, with an aura of vital qi of righteousness around his body. His magnificent golden chang pao was soaked with blood and his eyes were twinkling in a strange way. That person was precisely the crown prince of the Dragon Mountain Empire, Jun Mo Shi. On his right was a skinny young man who looked young and handsome. There was a strangeness in his handsomeness though. He was holding an ancient bell which emitted tic-tac sounds as time passed. That person was the dignified crown prince of Mo Jia, also known as Yunfei Yang. Jun Mo Shi and Yunfei Yang continued moving north after leaving Lin Feng and Tang Yuyu behind. Yunfei Yang looked strange, as if he had discovered something incredible. Maybe he found something incredible in the cave. That treasure was the clock Yunfei Yang was holding. That ancient bell could condense the strength of the earth and sky and turn it into physical strength. Yunfei Yang was a strength cultivator who had an advanced understanding of qi, forces, and strength. That ancient bell paired especially well with him. Surprisingly, the wrecked cave was a heaven with the skeletons of many strong cultivators. Jun Mo Shi and Yunfei Yang had been exploring it for more than a day now and found a few powerful treasures, like the golden Chang Pao which Jun Mo Shi was now wearing. Additionally, the strength of the deceased cultivators in that cave had been transmitted to them. They had learnt incredibly powerful things. They practiced cultivation in the cave for a day when the other strong cultivators found them. They knew that Jun Mo Shi and Yunfei Yang had found incredible treasures. More and more people gathered around the cave and attacked them. You must give us the ancient bell and you should take off that golden Chang Pao, then both of you give us your rings and we'll let you leave alive, someone said trying to threaten them. Jun Mo Shi and Yunfei Yang glanced at each other, smiling. Do you want to leave? Jun Mo Shi jokingly asked Yunfei Yang. If I wanted to leave, who would play with these people? We receive treasures from these ancestors, and when drinking water, one shouldn't forget its source. Some of our generous ancestors need to rest in peace in that cave, we cannot let you all bother them. Yunfei Yang said smiling. Exactly. Jun Mo Shi released some vital energy of righteousness. Both of them laughed, they looked like good friends. They glanced at the crowd and said at the same time, we want to fight, so what if our clothes get soaked in blood? Chapter 785, Terrifying Weapons. Jun Mo Shi and Yunfei Yang came to the mysterious world to find treasures, and not only did they get incredible ancient weapons, they also learnt remarkable magic powers. They were thankful to those ancestors and wanted to honor them. You're acting recklessly, don't think that you're strong because you killed a few cultivators. We are monstrously strong, otherwise we wouldn't be here. You're about to bring about your own destruction, someone said with murder painted on his face. They all released cold energies to kill Jun Mo Shi and Yunfei Yang. They wouldn't underestimate those weapons, they had just witnessed their power a moment before. That's enough bullshit for now, let's fight. Yunfei Yang was ready to fight. Humph. Someone groaned coldly and said, those two acquired incredible treasures, let's join hands to fight and kill them. With the way he was talking, anyone would think that it was logical to listen to him. However, nobody moved because they were focused on the weapons. Joining hands to fight Jun Mo Shi and Yunfei Yang wasn't logical at all because there were too many people who could grab the treasures afterwards. They all had evil intentions, even the one who was talking. He looked a bit surprised as he pulled a long face. It seems like everybody wants to sit idle and enjoy the fruits of others' work. Don't complain if the weapons are stolen by someone with a great agility technique. Then, he jumped forwards and moved like the wind. His agility technique was remarkable, he must have been talking about himself before. A few people joined him attacking as well. An extremely powerful qi rose in the air and shot towards Jun Mo Shi and Yunfei Yang. Since you're shouting the loudest, I will kill you first. Yunfei Yang shouted furiously while throwing himself at the few people attacking him. The atmosphere was filled with terrifying energies. A gigantic amount of force merged with some qi, and those who were attacking felt like they were suffocating, as if they had dunked their heads in sands or thick mud. Ding! Ding! A bell sound spread in the air. Yunfei Yang's clock became bigger and bigger as force condensed and merged with Yunfei Yang's body. Immediately, he released that force and qi which blotted out the sky and covered the earth. Those who were attacking Yunfei Yang were stunned. They found it difficult to move forwards as their clothes were torn and their skin pierced. That terrifying force felt like a ball and chain, a huge pressure pressed against their chests. Die! Yunfei Yang shouted. Another incredible buzzing sound spread in the air as the gigantic bell moved forwards. The force emerging from the bell continued to oppress them. The bell acted like a judgment bell, announcing their deaths. Bzzzzzzz. They became more intense as the atmosphere was shaking. Immediately after, some of their faces became lifeless as they fell from the air. The others were terrified. They wanted to dodge, but struggled in the middle of that force. Another buzzing sound spread in the air as the bell collided against them. Their souls shook as everything around them turned dark, and then they died. So many strong cultivators had died by the clock. Jun Mo she was fighting on the other side. He was wearing his golden Chang Pao which was shining magnificently and resplendently. That golden light looked sharp and dazzling to the eyes. Jun Mo she's silhouette flickered and everything was washed away by a golden gleam, tainted by blood. Subtle sounds spread in the air each time a life was taken. That golden Chang Pao granted Jun Mo she a terrifying speed, and acted as an extremely sharp and deadly weapon. Each time it came into contact with someone, they died. In the blink of an eye, 7 corpses littered the ground, blood still flowing from them. Jun Mo she and Yunfei Yang returned to the entrance of the cave looking proud and dignified. They glanced at the crowd, further instilling fear in their hearts. Do you still want to kill us? Jun Mo she asked proudly while his vital chi of righteousness dashed to the clouds. The crowd remained silent while looking at the 2 weapons. How powerful! Jun Mo she's golden Chang Pao and Yunfei Yang's bell. They really wanted those weapons, but nobody thought about attacking anymore. Jun Mo she and Yunfei Yang were strong enough by themselves, let alone with those weapons. I think everyone should attack together, someone broke the silence. They weren't underestimating their power this time, together, they might have a chance. People gradually nodded one after the other. They all looked solemn, cold and furious. Those weapons were monstrously powerful, and they desperately wanted them. The only thing standing in their way was to kill their owners. There were more than 100 people staring at Jun Mo she and Yunfei Yang greedily. The 2 cultivators glanced at each other and smiled. Jun Mo she said, let's fight. Why should we be scared? Yunfei Yang sounded unperturbed, even joyful. Both of them released terrifying energies. Jun Mo she was strong, he had broken through to the 9th Xian Qi layer. Yunfei Yang had only broken through to the 8th Xian Qi layer, but he could condense the force of the earth and the sky. Cultivators of the 9th Xian Qi layer would suffocate under his strength. Fight! Terrifying energies dashed to the skies, Jun Mo she and Yunfei Yang jumped forwards at the same time. They didn't feel like wasting time, so they took the offensive. Sirrr! His golden Chang Pao streaked across the sky leaving a golden trail behind him. In a flash, some people emitted horrible shrieks as blood splashed in the sky. It only took a second for a strong cultivator to die by Jun Mo she. He held no reserves murdering them even though he used vital chi of righteousness. BZ. A death bell resonated in the atmosphere. Yunfei Yang used his bell and 2 enemies started shaking insanely. They both groaned with pain and died in a flash. Die! Kill them! The atmosphere was filled with a myriad of energies. Everybody was attacking those 2 at the same time. Jun Mo she's golden Chang Pao was dazzling, it was unimaginable. The crowd couldn't get close to him. However, Yunfei Yang was struggling. His bell was extremely powerful but they were too many. Yunfei Yang shouted furiously and shook the ancient clock. The ancient bell abruptly started spinning with incredible speed and another 2 died. Immediately after, it fell from the sky and surrounded Yunfei Yang's body. The crowd was astonished. They didn't realize that Yunfei Yang could use the bell to protect himself. Rumbling sounds spread in the air as terrifying energies bombarded the bell, but nothing happened. Bzzz, terrifying lights emerged from the bell. Yun Fei Yang was beating it from the inside, causing it to release a force capable of killing people. The bell resonated as force continued invading the atmosphere and people continued to suffocate under its pressure. Die! They were getting desperate as someone punched the bell directly, but nothing happened still. Terrifying sounds appeared as a sword cultivator released monumental sword chi, capable of covering the entire continent of the 9 clouds. Die! Those who were next to the bell were thrown away and died. Boom boom boom. More attacked the bell and more explosions sounded in the air. The bell was shaking violently. Yun Fei Yang groaned with pain. They were all focusing on him, those bastards. Chapter 786, Awakening of the Blood Spirit. Cough cough cough. The clock continued resonating while Yun Fei Yang was assaulted inside of it. A terrifying light lacerated the atmosphere. Those who were close to the bell suffocated under the pressure. Bzzzzzzzzz. The bell resonated again as a golden, dazzling light streaked across the sky. Jun Mo Shi had arrived, his vital chi of righteousness and his golden Chang Pao were dazzling. He released some dazzling chi which could lacerate anything. Those who were unable to run started shaking, they couldn't dodge. Blood splashed. Jun Mo Shi's Chang Pao was as sharp as a blade and had taken their lives. Back, the crowd retreated like madmen. Someone noticed that Jun Mo Shi's dazzling Chang Pao had marks which looked like veins, just like the mysterious marks in the mysterious world. Those weapons seemed capable of communicating with each other. Together, their explosive power was terrifying. Those weapons were probably of an extraordinary level and quality. Most people had never seen such powerful weapons in their sections. It was no wonder that the Ganyu region thought so highly of the mysterious world. In a few days, those two had already obtained peerless treasures. Several people in the distance noticed the commotion and flew towards them. It's them. They're so lucky. They already obtained such great treasures. The people from Tianqi saw Jun Mo Shi and Yun Fei Yang looking majestic and dignified in the air. The battle became calmer as more than a dozen corpses littered the ground. Those corpses were strong cultivators, were all geniuses belonging to the biggest sects, but were unable to withstand a single attack. What should we do? The people from Tianqi asked Yu Tianji. All 45 of them had crossed space together and represented one of the largest groups to enter the mysterious world. They are also from Tianqi. Why are you asking me what we should do? Yu Tianji said, smiling. He continued moving forwards and asked Jun Mo Shi and Yun Fei Yang, not bad, I wouldn't have thought that you guys would obtain such treasures. Did you get other items which you would be willing to exchange? We are all from Tianqi, so we should help each other out. Yun Fei Yang and Jun Mo Shi turned their heads and looked at Yu Tianji. They shook their heads indifferently. Did they have anything to tell them? They had joined Tianqi because of Lin Feng, and then Yu Tianji criticized them and accused them of possessing evil intentions. What do you mean? Are you afraid that we would keep your treasures for ourselves? Someone else chimed in on Yu Tianji's side. No, said Yun Fei Yang in a relatively cold way. Well then, give us one of your treasures. We are all from Tianqi, so we should act together and share treasures. Once we leave the mysterious world, we will give it back to you. Yu Tianji said, smiling in a warm and friendly way. You are new in Tianqi, but we are willing to help you fight against the people attacking you. Naturally, you have to prove that you are willing to make friends with us first. Yu Tianji was sly. He basically said that if they don't hand over one of their treasures, Tianqi wouldn't accept them. When we joined Tianqi, the elders said that the treasures we obtain would be our own. The only condition for joining was not to betray Tianqi, Yun Fei Yang retorted coldly. He then added, indifferently, we will not give you any of our weapons, whether you want to help us or not has nothing to do with it. Bastard. You don't give a damn about Tianqi, indeed. Those two joined Tianqi, but it is only a matter of time before they betray us. We should settle accounts now and kill them, only then can we take those weapons in the name of Tianqi. The people from Tianqi were complaining one after the other. Their eyes were twinkling with ice-cold lights. Jun Mo Shi and Yunfei Yang smiled coldly. It was obvious that they wanted to steal their weapons, so there was no need to talk in a roundabout way. If you want to take advantage of somebody's misfortune and cause them harm, do you need the high ground? Yunfei Yang smiled coldly. If you want to steal our weapons, just use strength and make up the story later. As expected, you have a wolfish nature. You are from Tianqi, so Tianqi will take care of you. As far as your weapons are concerned, Tianqi will seize them soon enough. You Tianji tried to intimidate them, things were easier said than done though. The others coldly glared at them, they had 45 people on their side. How shameless! Huang Fulong said from the crowd, glancing at the people from Tianqi, how shameless. You're full of bullshit. When you saw that the others wanted to steal the treasures, you decided to steal them too. You are the people betraying Tianqi. You disrespect the elders' teaching by bullying others from Tianxian. Is that so? Said Yu Tianji while smiling coldly. Huang Fulong looked at the people from the Tianxian group and realized they were all on Yu Tianji's side. Little Shui, they keep betraying the Tianxian group. You are the leader of our group, so how can you remain silent? Huang Fulong glared at Tianqi Shui. What do those people have to do with Tianxian? Tianqi Shui didn't care about them in the slightest. Huang Fulong didn't look furious anymore, instead, he was depressed. It seemed like he was the only one who cared about the elders' teachings. A certain coldness invaded him. It seems like I'm thinking too much. Huang Fulong slowly turned around. He walked towards Jun Mo Shi and Yunfei Yang with an extreme sadness. After a few steps, Huang Fulong's body was surrounded by an ice-cold energy. Boom! A terrifying ice energy crashed onto Huang Fulong's back. Someone said, "You betrayed Tianqi and think that you can keep living?" Jun Mo Shi and Yunfei Yang were astonished, as was Tianqi Shui, but she remained silent. That ice-cold energy penetrated into Huang Fulong's blood vessels and froze him instantly. Bzzzzzzz. Yunfei Yang's ancient bell emitted buzzing sounds and some swift energies emerged. Jun Mo Shi turned into a golden beam of light and disappeared from his original position. Ah! A terrifying roar spread in the air. Roar! The chant of the dragon was suddenly heard. Huang Fulong's body released dragon qi. A dragon illusion appeared in the air and dashed to the skies. People's hearts were pounding violently as they stared at Huang Fulong. His long hair fluttered in the wind and his black hair turned golden and diffused dazzling light. A green dragon was slowly merging with his body. A blood spirit had awoken from inside him. A dragon. His dragon spirit is awakening. Thought the crowd astonished, their pupils were shrinking. Huang Fulong's blood vessels dilated, it seemed like he was becoming dragon roar. Huang Fulong raised his head and roared while looking at the sky. The pressure was so intense that they couldn't move anymore, they lost all their strength. Huang Fulong turned around, golden lights were twinkling in his eyes. He stared at the person who attacked him, that person could almost see sharp claws dripping with blood in front of him. Die! Shouted someone furiously. Blood splashed as the terrifying qi disappeared instantly. How terrifying! That blood spirit is an extremely powerful one. It is an authentic dragon spirit. Thought the crowd. Chapter 787, Do You Dare Fight Me? Tianqi Shui was also astonished. Huang Fulong glanced at the crowd, he looked like a dragon emperor with his messy golden hair. It seemed like he could crush the entire world with his claws. His appearance changed, his strength changed, his qi had changed. At that moment, Tianqi Shui, who used to be considered as a goddess by most people in Tianxian, was ashamed, she felt inferior. She had always known that Huang Fulong possessed monstrous physical strength, but he was simple-minded. She always thought that Huang Fulong would never be qualified to become her husband. Even though Huang Fulong was simple-minded, he was brave and strong. What people didn't dare to do, he did. For those two, he was ready to face everyone from Tianqi. Tianqi Shui suddenly felt small and selfish. "Kill him," shouted someone furiously. Immediately, the atmosphere was filled with ice energies capable of freezing the air. "Die," someone else shouted furiously as rumbling sounds spread in the air. An avalanche-like attack shot out towards Huang Fulong. It seemed like the dragon was going to be buried. "Roar!" The green dragon roared and Huang Fulong stretched out his arm. His sleeve was cut from the attack. The dragon became even more distinct now, diffusing a dazzling golden light. Boom! Huang Fulong grabbed their arm with his claws. There were dragon scales on Huang Fulong's arms. Avalanche! Kacha! An avalanche fell towards Huang Fulong, who immediately drowned in it. Several people then threw themselves at him. They wanted to kill him. Bzzzzz. The sound of Yunfei Yang's bell resonated again as some sound waves spread in the air. Yunfei Yang joined his hands together and the bell descended from the sky. One person was immediately crushed under it and the guy next to him started bleeding. His soul was shaking. He realized that he was probably going to die. Crrr. Jun Mo Shi's golden Chang Pao was soaked with blood and twinkling, its lights were dazzling. Go! A massive amount of vital chi of righteousness emerged and dashed to the skies. A terrifying punch filled with vital chi of righteousness dispirited the crowd. It seemed like it could annihilate everything and most especially those who were evil. That vital chi of righteousness struck many people, causing them to cough up blood unceasingly. Their souls felt oppressed as if they were about to die. Crrr. The golden Chang Pao soaked with blood was dazzling. Punch of righteousness. A massive amount of vital chi of righteousness rose up in the air. People felt inferior when they saw that chi. Those terrifying lights could annihilate anything and destroy evil. Tianji Constellation Skill, 7 stars connection. Yu Tianji shouted furiously. His fingers rose to the sky and 7 stars appeared. Gradually, they became more distinct and dazzling. The other leaders from different parts of Tianqi gathered and moved towards the 7 stars. Immediately after, it seemed like their strength was absorbed by the stars. Some ice, a river of flames and some terrifying sword energies appeared. Tianqi Shui looked irresolute. However, she released her strength too and put it in the star too. Then ice and snow immediately fell downwards. The snow blotted out the sky and covered up the earth. Even though the Tianshu star is not being used, it will still be enough to defeat you. Yu Tianji was very confident in his stars. Those stars were oppressing Jun Mo Shi. It seemed like they could destroy mountains and dry out oceans. Terrifying thunders were roaring, the earth and sky seemed like they were going to be crushed. Go! Yunfei Yang yelled while punching the ancient bell, which emitted incredible buzzing sounds. A magnificent light illuminated the atmosphere and shot towards the 7 stars. Bzzzzz. The buzzing sound of the bell was deep and long. This time, the ancient bell couldn't depress everything, instead, it bounced. Even though it was a powerful weapon, Yunfei Yang wasn't strong enough. He could only control it to a certain extent, far from being able to exploit the full power of the weapon. Roar! Huang Fulong raised his hands towards the sky and a dragon punch appeared. He seemingly wanted to destroy the stars. Crrr. Terrifyingly deadly energies emerged, unstoppable and capable of annihilating anything. Huang Fulong's dragon couldn't stop those dazzling stars. Boom! Huang Fulong groaned coldly and blood splashed out of his mouth. The other cultivators weren't going to miss this opportunity. They took the advantage of the situation to attack with even more power. They had only one goal, steal the ancient bell and the golden Chang Pao. Boom! June Mo, she released a monstrous amount of vital chi of righteousness. The dazzling golden lights were dreamy. Those lights were so dazzling that people's eyes hurt. Getting too close to the lights would probably be fatal. The 7 stars were oppressive, moving like a furious ocean. The different sorts of strength were falling down all at the same time. It seemed like they were unable to resist. But the vital energy of righteousness was absolutely incredible as well. Huang Fulong was staring at the sky, golden lights twinkling in his eyes. Roar, roar, roar. Huang Fulong roared loudly, but they weren't humane. It was the chant of the dragons. He rose up in the air and the crowd saw a dragon in the sky. There was a dragon silhouette on his body. It seemed like the entire strength contained in his blood had been released. Boom, boom, boom. The dragon raised its scale-covered arm to the sky and grabbed the 7 stars. They were filled with deadly energies, which lacerated the dragon's scales. Blood splashed, however, it didn't flinch as it tried to oppress the stars. Those 3 fighters, desperately, were resisting more than 100 geniuses. They were caked in blood. The ground was already full of corpses. Any genius knew that death was potentially awaiting them when they entered the mysterious world. Treasures sometimes had to be earned through blood. Cultivators continued flocking to the dense and terrifying chi. There were probably some incredible treasures to steal, otherwise, there wouldn't be such a great battle. In the middle of the crowd from Tianqi, Yu Tianji was smiling coldly. He was looking at the 3 people fighting in a frenzy. He wanted to see how long they would be able to resist. The Tianqi group still had many strong fighters. The 2 weapons were probably going to end up in their hands. Yu Tianji, as the leader of the group, would be able to grab one of the weapons for himself only. At that moment, he was already wondering which one he would take, the ancient bell or the golden Changpao. About a kilometer away, there was some sword chi coming towards them with incredible speeds. Boom! Someone who was flying towards the battlefield became surprised and started sweating intensely. He was concerned about that sword light streaking across the sky like a shooting star. How terrifying! Was it really a human being? He had the feeling that a terrifying sword was piercing through his body. He didn't even have time to think clearly as another silhouette passed him with incredible speed as well. That lithe and graceful silhouette was hard to keep track of. It seemed like it took her no effort to move with such agile in the sky. Those 2 were precisely Lin Feng and Tang Yuyu. From very far in the distance, they had sensed the dense chi released by the battle and rushed over. They noticed that 3 people were surrounded by a large group of cultivators. They recognized those 3 to be June Mo Shi, Yun Fei Yang and Huang Fulong. Everybody was too focused on the battle and didn't notice the sword light headed towards them. Someone in the middle of the Tianqi group turned around and saw the sword light, but it was too late. They died by it before they could warn anyone. Sirrr, sirrr. The people from Tianqi suddenly sensed the very sharp chi. A blood chi rose in the air as several people started shaking violently. Immediately after, they only saw a sword light pierce through the crowd. A row of cultivators were immediately cut in half. 10,000 swords, kill! Shouted someone furiously. That voice was so powerful that it made the ground shake. Millions of swords were diffusing dazzling lights at the same time. Those who were attacking June Mo Shi and the others died on the spot while the others retreated back. Back to 1, said another voice. A terrifying sword light rose up in the air and a few people were lacerated again. Who was that guy? It was the young man wanted by Shengong and some other influential groups, Lin Feng. Go! Shouted Lin Feng furiously. The 5 friends landed at the top of the entrance of the cave again and stopped attacking the crowd. Lin Feng glanced at the crowd in an ice-cold and despising way. Yu Tianji and the others were staring at Lin Feng. Too many strong cultivators from Tianqi had died under his sword lights just now. Lin Feng, it seems like you also decided to betray Tianqi. You killed so many of us. Yu Tianji said, his face was filled with murder. Shut the fuck up, shouted Lin Feng furiously while spitting out some sword energy. The elders of Tianqi told us to work together and preserve the cohesion of the nation, but now, in order to steal some treasures you're trying to kill your comrades from Tianqi. On top of that you're so shameless that you dare say I am the traitor of the nation. Who do you think you are? A leader? If you are a leader, will you dare fight against me to solve the issue? Sharp sword lights were twinkling in Lin Feng's eyes. His words were as sharp as swords. People from Tianqi were speechless. They had always firmly believed Yu Tianji, but Lin Feng made them rethink their position. As a leader, would Yu Tianji dare fight against Lin Feng? Chapter 788, For Justice. Yu Tianji continued to stare at Lin Feng. He made a few steps forwards and said, "You're right, I, Yu Tianji, came to the mysterious world as a leader. People from Tianqi all have to listen to my orders." Lin Feng was staring at Yu Tianji, his white clothes fluttering in the wind. He looked like a hero, free and unrestrained, natural. The strong cultivators from Tianqi never questioned what he said, as if he was their god. Yu Tianji was the leader of the Tianji group, but he was also considered the leader of all 7 groups from Tianqi. Someday he would become a real leader of the Tianji group, everybody would listen to and respect him then as well. Lin Feng, Tianqi accepted you and gave you a warm welcome. The Snow Eagles are some of our elders who won't prevent people from becoming citizens of Tianqi, but that doesn't mean I accept you. It also doesn't mean that the 6 other groups accept you. A few days before, when you entered the mysterious world, you killed all the people from the Tianshu group. They had offended you first, so you killed them, and I perfectly understand. However, those 2 have stolen precious treasures, so you will hand them over or else I will kill you. Yu Tianji was furious. Yu Tianji's face was filled with murder. He wasn't trying to conceal his true intentions anymore. How ridiculous, I remember what the elders said before. If any person from Tianqi found a precious treasure, they could keep it for themselves. You pretend to be a leader of Tianqi, could it be that you don't even know that? Shouted Lin Feng furiously. Yu Tianji was twisting words to force logic. If Tianqi Shui had seized a precious treasure, or one of its people, I wouldn't try and fight to get them. But, as I have already said, even though the elders of Tianqi accepted them, it doesn't mean that I do. Besides, who are they to get those treasures? Even if they really wanted to join Tianqi, I won't change my mind. Yu Tianji said. He then continued, they are not qualified to use such treasures, but they are suitable for me. I will not hesitate to fight for that purpose even if it means getting my clothes a little dirty. Everything for the empire, said Yu Tianji alone while stroking his chest with his hand. Even if he had to kill, or even go against the elders' will, he wouldn't hesitate. He would fight, that's how he was, and he was now more determined than ever. Just a load of crap. Why don't you admit that you are only motivated by your own personal interests? You want the treasures all for yourself. Lin Feng said while his entire body released sharp sword energies. He then shouted furiously, talking too much is of no use, let's fight. You say that you want to punish those who betray Tianqi, in the same manner, Lin Feng, represent Tianxian. I also kill traitors like you. Tianxian is an artery of Tianqi, why would we listen to your orders? Yu Tianji felt fearless as he sensed Lin Feng's battle energy. I know that you have received the 3 elders' instructions, and that you are very strong. Your sword intent is already level 6. To be honest, I really like you. If you were the one who had stolen the treasures, I might not try to steal them. I think that you can rise up within Tianxian, however, since you are protecting those 2, tensions arose between you and I. If you lose, I will not kill you. However, those 2 will have to hand over the treasures they stole. Yu Tianji said slowly, sounding incredibly self-confident. What if you lose? Shouted Huang Fulong. Lose, said Yu Tianji, smiling in a cold and detached way. He glanced over the 5 people on top of the cave and said, amongst all the people on the 7 snowy peaks of Tianqi, apart from you, who dares disobey my orders? They don't because I am their leader. I am the leader of the highest of the 7 snowy peaks, Tianji. How could I, you Tianji, lose? Do you really think that it's that easy to become a Tianji leader? Yu Tianji seemed extremely confident. Lin Feng and the others were staring at him. Indeed, the Tianji Empire was an empire of medium quality. Thanks to the incredible cohesion of its members, it had an excellent reputation. The snowy peaks of Tianji constituted the soul of the empire, and Yu Tianji was one of its young leaders. Maybe in the future, Yu Tianji would really become the leader of the empire. It almost seemed like Lin Feng and the others were realizing that they had underestimated Yu Tianji. Besides, Yu Tianji knew that Lin Feng had 3 Zun teachers. He also knew that Lin Feng's sword intent was level 6. But, he didn't look scared whatsoever. The only thing one could see was his battle energy burning all around his body. However, even if Yu Tianji wasn't scared, could Lin Feng be scared? He was also releasing battle energy. During the short period of time he spent in the Tianji region, he practiced cultivation and learned a lot. Coupled with the knowledge obtained in the mysterious world, Lin Feng could kill people of the 9th Xianqi layer easily. He hadn't had a difficult battle for a while now. Keep dreaming, you're saying that if you win you'll get the precious treasures. But when we ask you what will happen if you lose, you think that replying that you will not lose is enough? What if Lin Feng just said that he wasn't going to lose as well? Huang Fulong was furious. He was surrounded by waves of energy. Dragon energy is flowing in your veins. I would have never thought that Tianji would comprise so many geniuses. How great. I said it already, I will just take those 2 treasures as they are suitable for me. I will not kill you. If I lose, I have no item to give you, otherwise I would give them to Lin Feng. Bullshit, you pretend to be a leader so it means that you're a leader? Who acknowledges you? Fade Huang Fulong in a disdainful way. They all do. If Lin Feng wins against me, I swear that from today on, Lin Feng will become the most respected young man of Tianji, said Yu Tianji. Huang Fulong wanted to say something but then he heard Lin Feng say, I agree. Lin Feng and Yu Tianji were surrounded by battle energy rolling in waves, ready to fight. How exciting, said Yu Tianji smiling. He glanced at the others, his eyes were twinkling in a cold way as he said, if we fight, I fear other people will not remain calm. Tianji people, listen to me, I order you to protect those 2 treasures so that I can take and use them after. The strong cultivators of Tianji slightly nodded. Nobody contradicted him, especially all the leaders from the snowy peaks of Tianji each year. They all learnt from each others by interaction. They were the only ones who realized how strong Yu Tianji was. For the others, his strength was unfathomable. Surprisingly, you are quite self-confident, said Lin Feng, whose body was surrounded by sharp energies. Yu Tianji had immediately ordered them to keep and protect those 2 treasures for him. He was wildly conceited. Lin Feng glanced at the crowd and noticed that they all looked restless. If he fought against Yu Tianji, the others would go insane and would try to steal Jun Mo Shi and Yunfei Yang's treasures. Lin Feng looked at Jun Mo Shi and the 2 others and said, how do you feel? I feel like drinking alcohol, said Jun Mo Shi while smiling. His dazzling golden robe was fluttering in the wind. Indeed, alcohol, said Yunfei Yang, also smiling. Even though he was injured, he looked as free and unrestrained as before. A strong wind started blowing, and clouds were rising. Huang Fulong was giggling in a silly way. Lin Feng looked at his group of friends and smiled in a resplendent way. He then said, looking joyful, Yu, the alcohol. Tang Yu stretched out her hand as a multitude of hot unit flasks appeared. She knew that Lin Feng enjoyed drinking strong alcohol, so she had prepared plenty of flasks from the Dragon Mountain Empire. They grabbed the flasks and looked excited. They had the opportunity to drink together, how great! Qiao Feng and I have sworn brotherhood as cultivators. Today, I, Lin Feng, and all my brothers and sisters will, in the same way, offer a grand and spectacular show. We're going to drink happily and kill wholeheartedly, cheers, shouted Lin Feng while lifting his flask up in the air. The flask broke into pieces and the strong alcoholic hot unit appeared in the air. Lin Feng opened his mouth, abruptly started sucking in the liquid. In a flash, all the alcohol was flowing down his throat. The strong and spicy alcohol had a very pleasant taste. Even though the others didn't know who Qiao Feng was, but they also felt high-spirited and vigorous, they wanted justice to reign over the world. They raised their flasks filled with alcohol, enjoying the strong alcohol left them joyful, free, unrestrained and independent. Life was short and difficult, especially the cruel world of cultivation, deprived of emotions. Nobody knew when it had become acceptable to kill others for one's own personal interests. Having some intimate friends, being able to drink happily and slaughter others together, wasn't that a great way to spend time with friends? Cheers, shouted the 5 friends happily. They looked peerless and magnificent. The crowd stared at them as they drank. They couldn't help but feel strange. On the one hand, they were jealous, on the other hand, they felt sad. The world was restless, personal interests were like sharp swords, and killing people was abstract. Being able to drink alcohol happily and kill others with one's friends was something rare and difficult to achieve. Some people spent their entire lives trying to become better cultivators. They were trying to excel in the field of cultivation, they were trying to reach the apex of an abstract and intangible field. In the end, they never regretted it. Chapter 789, The 7 Starlights. The alcohol was flowing through Ling Feng and the others, their bodies felt like they were burning. It was a bit painful. Arg! Groaned Huang Fu Long. The alcoholic energy was quickly disappearing. Fight! Let's fight! Jun Mo Shi and Yun Fei Yang shouted loudly. The sound of the ancient drums kept resonating, the golden robe was dazzling, the air was filled with battle energy. Blood was definitely going to taint the ground. Lin Feng turned around and looked at Yu Tianji. He was surrounded by an incredible sword light which could annihilate everything. Looking all-conquering, Lin Feng seemed like he could kill anyone. Fight! Said Lin Feng while making a step forwards. Looking majestic, sword light was soaring to the skies. It seemed like his body contained 1,000 whistling swords which were ready to lacerate the sky. How terrifying, thought the crowd while staring at him. Lin Feng was extremely strong. As expected, his sword intent really was level 6. With his strength, he could already be defined as a hero. The only problem was that he didn't know how strong Yu Tianji was. The young Tianqi leader probably wouldn't disappoint. Every Tianqi member was staring at Lin Feng. None of them would be able to defeat Lin Feng. On top of that, Lin Feng could easily slaughter all them at once. Nobody could resist his level 6 sword intent. They then looked at Yu Tianji as if they were trying to see through him. They didn't know exactly how strong he was. Between him and Lin Feng, who would win? If Yu Tianji won, the 2 treasures would be his. Considering his strength, if Yu Tianji won and obtained the 2 treasures, he would become terrifyingly strong. Of course, if Yu Tianji lost, would he really accept Lin Feng as their leader, respected by the many people of Tianxian Mountain? Yu Tianji can't lose, he can drain star energy. His strength must be endless. Even if Lin Feng's sword energy is incredibly strong, he will still lose to Yu Tianji, thought the crowd. They were very confident when it came to Yu Tianji's abilities. He was young leader of Tianqi and they had never heard of him losing any battle. CRR. CRR, an infinite amount of sword chi moved towards Yu Tianji. Even though it hadn't yet reached him, it seemed like it could already cut him in half. Snow, shouted Yu Tianji. In a flash, it seemed like the entire surroundings were metamorphosing into a boundless field of snow. Snowflakes slowly fell from the sky and the ground was covered by a layer of ice. The landscape looked majestic. Intent, level 6, the crowd was astonished. Lin Feng's sword intent was level 6, that was already incredible. But Yu Tianji's snow intent was also level 6. He could make the earth and the sky freeze. Boom! Lin Feng stamped heavily on the ground as a terrifying sword chi rose up in the form of violent waves, all of it moving towards Yu Tianji. Yu Tianji's snow intent was level 6, but Lin Feng didn't seem worried at all. He kept releasing incredible amounts of energy which dashed to the skies. After all, if Yu Tianji hadn't been strong, fighting against him wouldn't be fun. Snowflakes were floating around in the atmosphere, things were very cold. It seemed like the entire world was freezing. The terrifying sword chi seemed like it was being blocked and frozen. When it got near Yu Tianji, it just stopped moving until it disappeared. How strong! I can't fight against them. I have to steal the treasures while they are still fighting, otherwise I won't have an opportunity later. People in the crowd had different thoughts. Yun Fei Yang and Jun Mo Shi were incredible when they used the ancient bell and the robe. How terrifying would it be if those items ended in Lin Feng and Yu Tianji's hands? Nobody would ever be able to resist against them. Terrifying waves of energy were bursting and rolling in the atmosphere, fusing together. Those people had precisely come to the mysterious world to steal treasures, now they had an opportunity. How could they miss it? Die! Boom, boom, boom. A deadly chi rose up quickly and seemed like it was burning the atmosphere. Jun Mo Shi and the others had prepared themselves earlier, they didn't need anyone to help them. Jun Mo Shi was surrounded by a dazzling and flashing gold light. Yun Fei Yang looked all-conquering using the ancient bell which resonated loudly. Huang Fu Long was surrounded by dragon chi and sweeping away all obstacles. Tang Yuyu was using her agility technique, looking graceful and agile while she was also released fists filled with a monstrous strength. In a flash, it seemed like a huge war had started. Having the opportunity to come to the mysterious world was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Fighting was the very objective. Lin Feng and Yu Tianji were in the middle of the crowd fighting. Lin Feng seemed like he was becoming stronger with each step he made. His sword energy was dashing to the skies, lacerating everything. At that moment, the entire atmosphere was already entirely filled with sword energy, it seemed infinite and furious, like a tsunami. Even though Yu Tianji's snow intent was level 6, it couldn't stop the deadly sword energy. The snowflakes continued to be lacerated. Yu Tianji didn't look scared, he looked calm and solemn. He joined his two hands together, making some gestures and pointed them to the sky. In a flash, it seemed like 7 stars were attracted to him. They became even brighter than the scorching sun. 7 star patterns appeared on Yu Tianji's body. He is using the power of the stars, Lin Feng looked surprised. Sunlight fell down onto the infinite sword energy. 10,000 swords were lacerating everything as the dazzling sun was burning brighter. That was the perfect fusion of sword and fire intent. Sword formula, kill, shouted Lin Feng furiously. A sword streaked through the sky like a meteor. The infinite number of swords and fire were one in the atmosphere. The swords and raging flames invaded the atmosphere, deathly sound waves were rolling in the air. The power I can drain from the stars is endless, said Yu Tianji. The 7 stars were so bright that they seemed to merge. In front of him, starlights were crisscrossing as they turned into a dazzling star pattern diffusing an infinite light. Boom! The deadly sword and fire crashed onto the stars. The crowd couldn't keep their eyes open anymore. Kaboom! A loud sound resonated. Among the 7 stars, 3 had broken. The 4 others suddenly seemed less shiny for a second, but then started dazzling again. Lin Feng was stupefied. Yu Tianji was, as expected, very strong. His powers were so mysterious. Even without relying on his 6 friends' help, he was still extremely strong. Lin Feng's fire and sword intents had only been able to destroy 3 stars. Stars can never be destroyed, said Yu Tianji sounding calm and indifferent. The 4 stars were diffusing even brighter lights which were twinkling chaotically, while the other 3 stars, which had just been destroyed, appeared again and started diffusing dazzling lights. Lin Feng looked surprised. Yu Tianji's powers were really mysterious. The cultivation world was definitely a strange one. Lin Feng couldn't understand all of its mysteries. The ways to become a powerful cultivator were infinite. They seem less strong, thought Lin Feng. Lin Feng was convinced that those stars could be destroyed. Indeed, the 3 stars which had just reappeared were not as powerful and shiny as the other 4. Die! Lin Feng stomped on the ground, and in a flash, an infinity of sword lights moved towards the starlights again. Kaboom! 2 more stars were destroyed. Out of 7 stars, only 2 were as bright and dazzling as the beginning. Yu Tianji was astonished. He wouldn't have guessed that Lin Feng would understand the mystery of the stars. He looked cold and detached. He shook his hands as the 7 starlights started revolving insanely. They then fell down from the sky towards Lin Feng. Using the power of the stars, he was directly trying to oppress Lin Feng, whose sword power immediately became much weaker. What a terrifying strength! It seemed like he couldn't escape the starlights. The starlights were destroying the atmosphere, their deadly chi was incredibly strong. Break! Shouted Lin Feng while raising a finger towards the sky. An incredible and all-conquering sword intent was condensed in that finger. The infinite amount of sword intent turned into 2 swords which then lacerated the 2 remaining stars. The 7 stars had weakened greatly. Break! 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 Lin Feng kept punching the stars unceasingly while extremely loud and resonating sounds spread in the air. Then the 7 stars vanished like a puff of smoke. Chapter 790, Tianji's ultimate star power. How strong, shouted a cold voice. The starlights were destroyed as a coldness invaded the atmosphere. Lin Feng raised his head towards the sky. It was extremely cloudy, to the extent that not a single ray of sunlight could pierce through. Lin Feng suddenly realized how cold he was. Yu Tianji was in the air, the palm of his hand was open and above his head with a gigantic snowy mountain resting on it. At that moment, Yu Tianji looked like a god of ice and snow. He shook his arm and the snowy mountain launched out at Lin Feng, emitting rumbling sounds. Many people felt like they were suffocating. They followed Yu Tianji's snowy mountain with their eyes. Their mouths were wide open, speechless and astonished. The Tianqi Empire was initially the weakest middle-quality empire, but it had gradually gained prestige and had become influential. Its young cultivators were real geniuses. Yu Tianji, one of its young leaders, was extremely strong. He could make a snowy mountain rise and use it to attack Lin Feng. Crush! Shouted Yu Tianji furiously. The snowy mountain fell down towards Lin Feng. It seemed like anything around the mountain would freeze. Lin Feng could only be crushed by the pressure. Boom! The snowy mountain fell down. Lin Feng could sense the gigantic pressure on his head. He was staring at the snowy mountain in suspension above him. A light started revolving around his body. It was the strength of the Haruka. Lin Feng turned into a demon statue, raising both of his hands, which seemed to be able to support the entire sky. Boom! An extremely loud sound spread in the air, the earth and sky were shaking. Lin Feng was attacking the snowy mountain but it kept oppressing him. He had the feeling he was going to be crushed to death. Yu Tianji jumped onto the snowy mountain and continuously stomped on it violently. A monumental amount of physical strength kept flowing down through the mountain, making it even heavier. Lin Feng became buried under that mountain. It was impossible to see if he survived or not. Many people silently watched the battle. That snowy mountain was incredible. Using a mountain to attack enemies and burying them was an extremely powerful means of fighting. Kacha! Some cracking sounds spread in the air. A fissure appeared in the mountain and it quickly became wider. It seemed like the entire mountain was going to break in two. Boom! An incredible demon chi rose up towards the vault of heaven. Yu Tianji suddenly jumped higher up in the sky. He saw a demon silhouette rise out from under him. The demon made a huge hole in the snowy mountain and was rising towards Yu Tianji with incredible speed. That demon's strength was so monstrous that it seemed like he could destroy the earth and sky. "Barry!" shouted Yu Tianji furiously. Several snowy hands launched out at Lin Feng. Yu Tianji wanted to bury Lin Feng with them. Snow fists kept streaking through the sky at Lin Feng. Lin Feng made some gestures with his hands as the demon's strength kept flowing. His strength seemed infinite and indestructible. He assaulted the snow fists, destroying them one after the other. Finally, the two silhouettes appeared again in the air. Lin Feng and Yu Tianji were staring at each other. An incredible battle energy surrounded them. "I can see that you have used all your skills," said Lin Feng in a cold and detached way. The 7 stars were supposed to be indestructible, but Lin Feng had destroyed them. Then Yu Tianji used the snowy mountain but hadn't managed to kill Lin Feng with it either. What else could Yu Tianji do to compete with Lin Feng's all-conquering sword? "I have one last method," said Yu Tianji while smiling in a strange way. "My name is Yu Tianji, Lin Feng, I will show you why. I will show you what kind of power a young leader of Tianqi can have," said Yu Tianji. After that, he raised his hand and in a flash, 100 suns appeared in the sky. It was the Great Bear's radiance, illuminating the earth. It was as bright as the sun. "So you want to use the power of the stars again," said Lin Feng in a solemn way. Yu Tianji's abilities were really unique. Those from Tianqi raised their heads and stared at the brilliant stars while whispering, "The unfathomable and divine Tianji." The stars in the sky were becoming brighter and brighter. More snowflakes appeared in front of Yu Tianji, the stars were shining upon those snowflakes. "Stars, please lend me your strength," said Yu Tianji while joining his hands solemnly, his voice sounded holy. In a flash, an infinite amount of starlight condensed and turned into a terrifying sword light. In that sword light, a fire ignited as well. Yu Tianji's body was seemingly surrounded by a demon light as well. That light was cold and extremely powerful. People's eyes were twinkling with stupor. Lin Feng's pupils shrank. What was going on? How was that possible? Sword intent, an extremely powerful sword strength. Those flames, the fire of the scorching sun, there was that demon chi as well. Yu Tianji had seemingly turned into an ancient demon. Lin Feng was astonished and speechless, those 3 skills belonged to him. Yu Tianji could borrow the power of the stars, which had borrowed Lin Feng's strength. Lin Feng looked at Yu Tianji and saw that his eyes were starting to change, they looked evil, not like those of a human being. What a terrifying skill, thought Lin Feng, whose heart started pounding. Yu Tianji was able to use his opponent's skills right after having seen them. Yu Tianji's power was unfathomable, it was as if he had been omniscient. The young leaders of Tianqi were, as expected, unique and very strong. The young leaders weren't weak at all. The lights of the fire and sword condensed, inside that light were some starlights as well. A terrifying chi was whistling in the air and condensing. It seemed like Yu Tianji's attack was, this time, definitely going to defeat Lin Feng. Yu Tianji started running like a madman at Lin Feng. Lin Feng had to use a stronger attack than all of the attacks he had just used, otherwise, he would lose. Yu Tianji is going to win now, some people in crowd though while gazing at the silhouettes in the sky. There is no suspense anymore, Yu Tianji is way too powerful. His power is unfathomable. At that moment, everyone was astonished and amazed by Yu Tianji's power. Everybody thought that the battle was already over and that Lin Feng couldn't win anymore. There was no way he could use stronger attacks than those he had just used, that was impossible. Lin Feng stared at Yu Tianji in a calm and solemn way. Lin Feng had already reached a point of no return, all he could do was surpass himself and fight. Lin Feng closed his eyes. 81 vein patterns appeared, from which energies flowed in his brain. Each vein pattern was different from the next. A terrifying deadly sword energy appeared around Lin Feng and started revolving with incredible speed. The atmosphere was filled with sword lights. It seemed like there were millions of furious swords in the air, as if a mountain was collapsing, as if the seas had gone insane. A real genius. Yu Tianji was staring back at Lin Feng. He would have never thought that Lin Feng would remain fearless in this situation, and on top of that would be able to release such a terrifying battle energy. Lin Feng, don't worry, I will not kill you. We both belong to Tianqi, and I am a young leader. You can be my vice leader. Together, we can reign over the Gan region, said Yu Tianji, sounding indifferent before adding, be careful. The swords sounded furious, the flames were burning madly, the demon chi was rolling in the atmosphere, the stars were dazzling, the ice was freezing everything. Yu Tianji was releasing 5 types of energies at the same time. In a flash, gigantic sword lights filled with fire energy were released in the sky. Lin Feng wasn't focused, his countless swords became one, but it didn't attack. It remained in front of him, in him. Lin Feng's body started burning. He then disappeared, and where he was standing appeared a sword. It seemed like there was a human being in that all-conquering sword. Lin Feng, for the first time, had become a real sword. Chapter 791, the leader Lin Feng had turned into a real sword. His numerous swords became one, which then penetrated into his body. Lin Feng had fused together with the sword and transformed into a sword. That action made everybody's heart start pounding. Lin Feng had surprisingly turned into a sword. In order to become a sword master, one had to understand intent, then sword intent, then human sword fusion. However, when using the human sword fusion, the cultivator only looked like a sword, but the cultivator was still a person and the sword remained a sword as well. But at that moment, Lin Feng had turned into a real sword, it wasn't a mere human sword fusion. After reaching a certain level, can people really turn into swords? Many people couldn't believe their eyes. Was it really happening? People were people, could they turn into weapons, into swords? However, what was happening in front of their eyes proved to them that it was real. Lin Feng had turned into a sword. It's a hallucination. It must be a hallucination. What an incredibly powerful magic power. He really looks like a sword, exactly the same, thought many people. Their heart was pounding, Lin Feng had really turned into a sword, how was that possible? How was Lin Feng able to do that? That was an unprecedented powerful skill. Sword formula second phase, one human being and one sword could fuse together. It was impossible to see the difference, the user really looked like a sword. A sword light twinkled, there were no rumbling sounds or anything like that. There were no oppressive forces in the air either, there was just a sword light streaking across the sky, all-conquering and indestructible. The 5 types of energies turned into 5 sword lights and collided with Lin Feng's terrifying sword. In a flash, those 5 sword lights disappeared. No matter how strong he was, at that moment, there was only one sword left. Yu Tianji's heart started pounding violently. His eyes, which were filled with starlights, had lost their splendor. That sword was way too terrifying, Lin Feng's body had really fused together with the sword. That wasn't just a level 6 sword intent, that wasn't just a powerful sword skill either. It was the result of Lin Feng's true comprehension of swords. Lin Feng had created an incredible and all-conquering sword. Some cracking sounds spread in the air. Yu Tianji was stupefied, in front of him, the sword stopped and a Lin Feng silhouette appeared. Yu Tianji and Lin Feng were in the air, standing silently, staring at each other. They both looked majestic and unruly. I lost, said Yu Tianji to Lin Feng. If the sword hadn't stopped a moment ago, it could have killed him. He had lost the battle. The strong and enigmatic Yu Tianji, the young leader of the main group of Tianqi, had lost against Lin Feng. Yu Tianji sighed, he felt like he was dreaming. The crowd was just as astonished, especially the people from Tianqi. Yu Tianji, the enigmatic Yu Tianji, had lost against Lin Feng. That was astonishing. Yu Tianji had lost against a young man about whom they had never heard before. However, Yu Tianji couldn't be blamed for that. He could borrow the power of the stars, use incredible starlights, use a snowy mountain as a weapon and crush others. On top of all of that, he could borrow the power of the stars to imitate his opponent's skills. All those skills were extremely powerful, but in the end, Yu Tianji had lost. One sword had been enough to stop a multitude of skills used at the same time. Lin Feng had reached such a high level that he could look down at the world, his sword was everlasting and resplendent. Lin Feng, I lost and I will keep my promise. From today on, you are a leader of Tianqi, said Yu Tianji slowly while sighing. Tianqi people were surprised. Lin Feng was a new young leader of Tianqi. Was the future of Tianqi in Lin Feng's hands? Lin Feng looked at Yu Tianji. Were all the cultivators in the mysterious world as strong as Yu Tianji? From now on, Tianqi people will listen to your orders, said Yu Tianji. Yu Tianji was a formidable opponent. Without his level 6 sword intent, his sword formula and the 81 patterns, he wouldn't have been able to defeat Yu Tianji, or at least, it would have been very difficult. Forget about it, I can't lead them. Just stop provoking me and that'll be enough, said Lin Feng in a cold and detached way. I, Yu Tianji, always keep my promises. People from Tianqi are not the way you imagine. I will personally kill anyone who doesn't listen to you, said Yu Tianji. Lin Feng's eyes narrowed. Okay, fine. Let's do it your way. I will lead them. Now, kill anyone who's trying to steal the items, said Lin Feng coldly, looking at the people on the ground. Those from Tianqi looked surprised. Was Lin Feng their new leader? Even though they had the impression that everything was just a dream, people had to listen. Lin Feng had defeated Yu Tianji. In Tianqi, he was now the strongest cultivator, he was a leader. Tianqi's future would be in Lin Feng's hands. With such a great leader, Tianqi would rise steeply. If the young people of the empire were strong, then the empire would rise up. With Lin Feng's influence and power, even those who were not so strong in Tianqi would benefit from his remarkable abilities. He would be respected by everyone. Everybody understood that. Yu Tianji understood that as well, but he had to renounce his leading position to accept it. In a flash, the atmosphere was filled with ice chi. It seemed like everything was going to freeze. Snowflakes started fluttering around everywhere in the air. In that snowy world, blood was staining the pure and infinite whiteness. Jun Mo Shi and the others' eyes were filled with murder. Those who wanted to steal the items were insane. They had to be merciless and slaughter them. One had to kill others in order to not be killed. If anyone wanted to kill Jun Mo Shi and the others, then they would show no mercy. Yu Tianji jumped forwards and stepped on the ice. A sword appeared and someone was beheaded. The blood on the ice immediately froze. Lin Feng was still surprised by Yu Tianji. He was really strong. Yu Tianji could still use the power of the stars to use Lin Feng's abilities. At that moment, there were no incredible starlights, but Yu Tianji could still use that sword to kill others. Even though Yu Tianji's sword attacks weren't as powerful as before, that kind of skill was still terrifying. Lin Feng jumped forwards as well and started killing enemies. Each of his attacks could take one person's life. Lin Feng kept killing enemies one after the other. Many silhouettes were twinkling, they were starting to escape. Tianqi's people were fighting. Lin Feng and Yu Tianji had joined the battle as well. Blood was splashing everywhere. For those who wanted to steal the items, it was a nightmare. The massacre continued for a while. The vast territory covered by a layer of ice was already stained by blood. It looked brutal. Silence invaded the atmosphere. Piles of corpses were littered everywhere, rigid corpses. Jun Mo Shi and Yunfei Yang were also injured, but Jun Mo Shi had an immortal spirit, so his injuries healed in the blink of an eye. Lin Feng's sword made of pure qi slowly disappeared. He was staring at the crowd, looking like a warlord. Those Tian Qi people didn't look up at him anymore. They still couldn't accept the fact that Lin Feng had become their leader. I forgive everyone for what has happened before, let bygones be bygones. However, in the future, I will not tolerate any internal disorder. If I see people from Tian Qi fight each other again, I will not hesitate to kill them, said Lin Feng coldly, making the crowd feel nervous. I have something else to add. Even though we could stay together to remain powerful, there is one problem. If we stay together all the time, will we be able to find treasures? And if we do, how do we share them, said Lin Feng. If they stayed together and found treasures, only a few of them would be able to keep them, and that would be unfair for the others. If you want to find treasures, stay alone and rely on your own strength. If you find treasures, you can keep them for yourself. Besides, if we separate, we'll have more opportunities. If you think that you are not strong enough, then you can stay with a few other people. The crowd didn't think he would separate them. They came together and stayed together so far, their unity made them powerful, but Lin Feng wanted them to separate. However, everybody had to admit that Lin Feng made sense. Yu Tianji's eyes were twinkling, he glanced at the crowd and said, I was wrong, if you don't go through life with threatening experiences, even if we share treasures, we will never be able to become stronger. The most important thing for a cultivator is to rely on their own self. Chapter 792, The Demonic Emperor. Those from Tian Qi slowly dispersed to move on alone, but here were some who stayed in small groups. That territory seemed to be boundless, and there were surely many precious items there. Jun Mo Shi had obtained the golden robe, and Yunfei Yang obtained the ancient bell. After obtaining those incredible treasures, nothing was impossible. Besides, Jun Mo Shi and Yunfei Yang had discovered a cemetery in the cave, which might have some incredible Zun cultivators buried there. Jun Mo Shi and Yunfei Yang raised the mountain containing the graveyard to the ground, uncovering all of the corpses. Lin Feng, said Jun Mo Shi, he apparently wanted to say something. What's wrong? Said Lin Feng, looking at Jun Mo Shi and Yunfei Yang. We just finished searching the underground palace and found a third item. Jun Mo Shi was very excited. 3 treasures? Lin Feng was also excited. Apart from the golden robe and the ancient bell, what else had they found? Yes, said Jun Mo Shi while shaking his hand. Suddenly, something appeared, a pair of golden gloves. Those gloves were as resplendent and dazzling as his robe. The gloves and robe were probably part of an incredibly powerful set. At first glance, one could see that those were at least Tian-level weapons. Jun Mo Shi handed the golden gloves over to Lin Feng, who took them and released some pure qi in them. In a flash, the golden light became much brighter and dazzling. An all-conquering qi was released. I have a feeling that the blood sword is far from being at the same level as those gloves, thought Lin Feng. He took out the blood sword, and a ray of light streaked across the sky and crashed onto the gloves. A light metallic sound spread in the air, the golden gloves started shining in a strange way. Lin Feng scrutinized the gloves, and as expected, there wasn't a single scratch. Lin Feng gave the golden gloves back to Jun Mo Shi, who shook his head while smiling. Lin Feng, I already got the golden robe, it's incredibly powerful. Taking the gloves as well would make me quite a greedy person. You should take them. I don't need them, said Lin Feng, also shaking his head. He was a sword cultivator, his attacks were extremely powerful. Those gloves couldn't be as powerful in his hands as they could in Jun Mo Shi's. You can give them to someone else, said Jun Mo Shi, smiling and glancing at Tang Yu. Jun Mo Shi was really an altruist. Even though he could personally give the gloves to Tang Yu, he knew there was a relationship between the two. He wanted to give them to Lin Feng first, who would then gift them to Tang Yu. Yu, take those gloves. Lin Feng said while giving the gloves to Jun Mo Shi. Jun Mo Shi's idea wasn't bad. Tang Yu was surprised. She first looked at Lin Feng, then at Jun Mo Shi, and smiled in a resplendent way. She didn't say anything to be polite and immediately took the gloves. She felt gratified to be associated with people like Lin Feng, Jun Mo Shi and the others. She felt naturally free around them. Lin Feng and the others cared more about her than precious items. Gifting her the gloves was only natural. Lin Feng, we discovered a secret in the underground palace. Yunfei Yang was smiling at Lin Feng. What secret? The world we were transported to really is a part of the great emperor's world, and it also contains his grave, said Yunfei Yang. The legends were true, the world was the great emperor's grave. From the moment we came in, we keep seeing corpses everywhere. Those who had died immediately weren't able to escape. A great war occurred between two emperors. Yunfei Yang added. Lin Feng was captivated. A war between two emperors? How terrifying. That world belongs to a great emperor who was unprecedentedly strong. His slaves are of the Tian Qi layer and many Zun cultivators obey him. Amongst those Zun cultivators, there are 4 who are the strongest and reside in 4 different places. The territories surrounding the palaces are under their control. Jun Mo Shi and I entered one of those 4 palaces. These treasures must have belonged to one of the 4 Zun cultivators. For strongest Zun cultivators, Lin Feng looked captivated. No wonder those precious items were so powerful. That explained everything. Those treasures belonged to an extremely strong Zun cultivator. The last words of the ancestors are carved in the palace. The emperor to whom that world belongs had offended a demonic emperor. The latter chased the former to kill him. The emperor had no choice, no way to escape, so he entered a territory without doors to run away and even prepared his coffin. He knew that everybody would die. The Zun cultivators also knew, so they carved their last words in stone before dying. Yunfei Yang explained. How terrifying. The great emperor was a monster cultivator. He could be counted as one of the strongest cultivators in the world. But surprisingly, he was no match for this other supreme existence. He decided to die in a glorious place to rest in peace and protect his honor. That demonic emperor must have been terrifyingly strong, whispered Lin Feng. What an incredible event. Lin Feng could almost imagine the scene, the demonic emperor chasing those cultivators in that world. I wonder how strong the demonic cultivator was, being able to chase the great emperor and forcing him to prepare his own grave, said Yunfei Yang while smiling wryly and shaking his head. Jun Mo Shi and Yunfei Yang were just as surprised. Okay, where is the Zun cultivator's coffin? Asked Lin Feng. Yunfei Yang shook his head. Before dying, the Zun cultivators used a magic skill to make their coffins. Nobody knows where they are. It won't be easy at all to find them, otherwise, those who had come before us would have found them already. But, said Yunfei Yang before continuing, according to the Zun cultivator's last words, he was one of the 4 strongest Zun cultivators. The 3 other Zun cultivators' underground palaces are also in that world, situated at 3 other cardinal points. Those 4 palaces are the best places in this world to find treasures. What you mean is, Lin Feng's eyes were twinkling with sharp lights. For Zun cultivators in 4 different locations, this palace was one of them. They found 3 incredible treasures here. If we could find the other 3, we could find other great items and learn more about those Zun cultivators, said Jun Mo Shi. Lin Feng looked captivated. Indeed, if they could find the 3 other palaces, even if they didn't find the great emperor's grave, their trip would be an overwhelming success. Of course, if they could find the emperor's grave, that would be even better. Lin Feng was very curious to know more about their story, the emperor's coffin and the demonic emperor. Lin Feng and the others didn't know, at that very moment, the second underground palace had already been found by others. A great battle took place and many people had already died. The one who found the Zun cultivator's grave had fought Lin Feng before. Besides, they had also obtained a precious item. They could kill people without spilling blood. Those who saw the item wanted it, but nobody managed to steal it from them. Chapter 793, The Evil Gourd. A gloomy and deadly chi was floating in the air around the ruins. Many people surrounded the ruins and stared at the person above them. His face resembled jade, he looked like an extraordinary fighter. However, coupled with those shiny eyes, one could see a gloomy and ice-cold smile on his face. He looked back at the crowd, exerting that gloomy and scary chi. What scared everyone the most was the item he held in his hands. It was a gourd. A gloomy chi which contained deadly energy was burning above the gourd. So many had already died because of that gourd. Duan Wuya, we're lucky to have you with us at East Sea Dragon Palace. Did you find more than one treasure? Apart from the gourd, you must have found other treasures which you could share with us. We can help you fight off the rest of them. We're in the mysterious world where you can only rely on yourself. What I find is mine. If you want my items, come and take them. If you are strong enough, I don't mind giving you them, said Duan Wuya while smiling in an indifferent way, but his voice sounded extremely cold, which made it obvious that he didn't have good intentions. Duan Wuya was extremely strong and had obtained, on top of that, a terrifying gourd. Almost nobody came close to him anymore. So, do you want my items or not? If not, I will take my leave, said Duan Wuya, still smiling. Could they let Duan Wuya leave just like that and do nothing? Die, someone said at that moment. They suddenly appeared behind Duan Wuya to strike him in the back. Duan Wuya glanced at the person behind him without much care. A gloomy chi surrounded his body and enveloped him. A gloomy cloud appeared and floated in the wind. The attacker punched the cloud, and very quickly, the cloud surrounded his body as a horrible shriek sounded in the air. That person's body was crushed and devoured, there wasn't a single drop of blood spilt. How brutal, thought the crowd. Duan Wuya was extremely brutal, what a way to kill someone. If you want to die, I will help you, said Duan Wuya to the rest of the crowd. He put his fingers on the gourd and a terrifying gray cloud appeared and floated towards some people. Soon as it touched them, they died. How scary, thought the crowd again. Anyone else want to try? Duan Wuya grew tired of this. Those who remained were silent and were stiff from fear. So if nobody else wants the treasure, then I'm off, said Duan Wuya, smiling this time. He disappeared in a flash. I found a Zun cultivator's underground palace and obtained very valuable items where the dead chi was thickest. The 3 other underground palaces must also be surrounded by this gloomy chi, thought Duan Wuya. When it came to sensing gloomy chi and dead chi, his senses were very developed, otherwise, he wouldn't have discovered the place where one of the Zun cultivator's rotting body was buried. He was shivering with pleasure from what he just gained, imagining himself discovering the 3 others. After Duan Wuya left, Yu Tianji arrived. He glanced at someone and asked, "What happened here?" That person glanced at Yu Tianji and smiled. Someone found several extremely powerful treasures and then left. If you want to steal them, you can go and chase him. Yu Tianji remained silent and smiled. He knew that his interlocutor didn't harbor good intentions, but he didn't care, he was focused on those ruins. He made a step forward and condensed some pure chi. It almost seemed like his body was made of pure chi as he moved towards the ruins. Surrounded by stars, Yu Tianji penetrated into the ruins. The crowd was surprised by Yu Tianji, he had surprisingly entered the ruins. People decided to follow Yu Tianji into the ruins. They were wondering what they could find in those underground ruins. After a short while, they only saw Yu Tianji come fly out from the ground like a rocket. The others who followed him down never appeared again. Yu Tianji rose up in the air, his eyes were twinkling, the chi in the caves was very potent. If he hadn't been able to use the power of the stars, he would have ended up like the others, swallowed and never able to see the light of day. It seemed like the one who obtained the treasures from that underground palace was an extraordinary cultivator, they managed to survive as well. Yu Tianji looked down again and sighed. Those who had followed him into the caves were probably already dead. Yu Tianji raised his hands and starlights began twinkling. 7 dazzling stars appeared and started shining brightly in 2 directions, downwards and towards the direction where Jun Mo Shi and the others had just found their treasures. The 5 other stars were revolving slowly, their lights seemed obstructed by the others. After a while, the 5 stars started shining in 5 other directions, making Yu Tianji sigh. If I could find the 3rd palace, I could easily find the 4th one as well, whispered Yu Tianji while jumping forwards and disappearing. He was following the direction indicated by one of the starlights. There was a chance that it would be the 3rd palace. After Yu Tianji left, many other people arrived, including Lin Feng and his friends. What a thick gloomy qi, whispered Lin Feng. The gloomy qi was quite dense. A battle had just taken place and it seemed like many had died. I can sense the same qi, maybe this is the 3rd palace, said Yun Fei Yang. He was looking at the ruins and said, so many people have come to this mysterious world in the last couple hundred years, couldn't they find these ruins before us? In the darkness, there are many things. It might be that the great emperor wants to come back to life after thousands of years, or maybe this time, our fate is to receive his instructions, whispered Jun Mo Shi. After great catastrophes, some empires became negligible for hundreds of years. In the cultivation world, many things are mysterious and unexplainable. Sometimes empires lack geniuses, sometimes they are filled with truly amazing, all-conquering geniuses. Fate is determined by a myriad of factors. Indeed, maybe the great emperor will come back to life, said Huang Fu Long while giggling foolishly. Lin Feng sounded reluctant, I hope that it's true. Let's go and see the other 2 places. The 4 of them rose up in the sky. They had already found 2 of 4 underground palaces. So the 2 remaining palaces had to be in opposite locations. The Zun cultivators' stories quickly spread around and almost all of those who had come the mysterious world knew about them. Even though some didn't know about those stories beforehand, they still found other palaces with crystals that helped their cultivation and deepened their knowledge about intent. Some of them found crystals that taught them things about abstruse energies, but they hid their findings from everyone else. Chapter 794, Boundless Blood Pool. A wave of people flew to the east. At that moment, Yu Tianji was in the middle of a golden desert. There were round and twinkling stars in his hands which guided him along. Yu Tianji had an enigmatic power, his inner strength could work in concert with the stars, enabling him to practice some rare skills. Among which he could imitate other people's skills and abilities, which was why others found him so enigmatic and omniscient. However, he was the only one who understood that only genuine star chi could enable him to become omniscient. In the dark he still had to rely on the stars to guide him. He was far from being able to do that on his own. In that vast and boundless desert, the ground was burnt by sunlight. A hot energy seemed to bless this land. There were no ruins and no corpses. It didn't seem like there could be anything interesting there. However, Yu Tianji had come and took the possibility very seriously. He was using the power of the stars to sense his surroundings. There had to be something in that area. At that moment, a gray silhouette appeared. That person looked skinny and was surrounded by a cold qi. Is it him, thought Yu Tianji, the one who had found the treasures in the ruins before him? It seemed like that person had also sensed someone else was in that desert. He turned his head, his smile only held bad intentions. That smile made Yu Tianji shiver, it looked warm yet piercing to the bones. He is very dangerous, I need to be careful, thought Yu Tianji. He conjured some star energy flow around him. It seemed like those starlights could let him to see through that person who smiled and said, You also came here to find treasure? That's right, said Yu Tianji while nodding and moving on. Not bad, you sensed it as well. I think there are some incredible treasures underground, you should try and make them appear, he said while moving forwards as well. Yu Tianji smiled coldly, that person was asking him to find the treasures, but if he really found something he would be killed and robbed. You should try too. Yu Tianji tried to look detached. He continued to make star energy revolve around him. He was confident that if he found a treasure, that other guy wouldn't be able to take it away from him. Two morons. Surprisingly, you two think that you can find the treasures buried in the desert, someone else said mockingly while flying above them. Yu Tuanji ignored them, but Duan Wuya raised his head and looked at them with his piercing smile, making them feel cold. The desert was dry, desolate, and there were no clouds in the sky. Many people skipped past them because of the dreariness. A majority didn't believe there could be anything interesting in the desert. They believed the palaces could only be found where a thick qi and many corpses resided. They focused on searching visible and large palaces. Lin Feng and the other four continued eastwards. At that moment, they also arrived in the middle of a desert. How hot! Did we go in the wrong direction? It's surprising that we ended up in a desert, whispered Yun Fei Yang. The temperature in the desert was higher than the other places they searched. I like it when things are beyond our expectations, said Lin Feng in an indifferent way. Why do I feel so excited? Asked Huang Fu Long. They were looking at Huang Fu Long in a strange way. Excited? He's in the desert and surprisingly, he's feeling excited. Why do you feel that way? Can you sense or feel something? Lin Feng took Huang Fu Long seriously. Let's go down, said Huang Fu Long, whose eyes looked increasingly shinier. The others looked at Huang Fu Long land on the ground. They glanced at each other with surprise. Had he really sensed something? So, said Lin Feng. I can sense it more and more, it's so intense. My blood is boiling, said Huang Fu Long, whose eyes were twinkling in a strange way. He was having a very strange reaction in the middle of the desert, as if Mother Earth had called out to him. His heart was pounding and an intense blood qi was emerging out of his body. The other kept staring at each other. They would have never thought that Huang Fu Long would sense something. Was the Zun cultivator's underground palace really in that desert? Their silhouettes shifted as they followed Huang Fu Long. After a while, Huang Fu Long finally stopped. At that moment, it seemed like his blood was going to explode. His face was completely red as an intense blood strength flowed through his veins. The feeling is immense, it must be here, said Huang Fu Long while suddenly jumping up in the air. He cannonballed at the ground like a rocket. A loud explosion sounded as sand splashed up in the air. Huang Fu Long looked like a madman, his entire body was entirely buried in the ground. Arg! A loud roar spread in the air, it was Huang Fu Long's voice. The ground started shaking. Lin Feng and the others could only hear cracking and rumbling sounds, it seemed like something was being broken. Boom! The sand of the desert started rolling in waves towards the sky. The entire atmosphere was filled with sand. After that, a gigantic crater appeared where Huang Fu Long landed. Some light emitted by blood qi dashed to the skies. Blood qi, an extremely powerful one. Lin Feng and the others arrived near the crater and looked inside. There was a pool of blood from which a monstrous strength was soaring. He really found it. Lin Feng was astonished. Huang Fu Long was right. He had really found it. That blood energy was incredibly powerful. Zun cultivators could condense blood qi and turn it into an extremely powerful strength, capable of passing from generation to generation. The Zun cultivators under the Great Emperor were monstrously strong, especially those four. They could use their blood energy and turn it into a blood pool. However, Zun cultivators rarely did that. What was the point in doing that after dying? For whatever reason, that Zun cultivator did it. The blood was extremely hot and seemed to be boiling. Lin Feng and the others understood why it was so hot in the desert. That blood energy had a strong influence on the ecosystem. The four of them looked at each other and seemed to have the same thought. Without saying anything, their silhouettes dashed as they immediately appeared above the blood pool, protecting it. Since Huang Fu Long's blood was compatible with the blood, he could take control of it. With such an incredible energy emerging out from it, others were bound to come. It wasn't long before someone came by. It was Yu Tianji. They didn't expect him to come along first. Yu Tianji was also surprised. Was he dreaming? Lin Feng and his friends were the ones to discover the treasure again. What's going on? Asked Yu Tianji, looking at the blood pool. Huang Fulong found it. He's investigating the blood energy, said Lin Feng. Yu Tianji, protect Huang Fulong. Yu Tianji's eyes were twinkling. Immediately, he nodded and said, all right. Yu Tianji jumped forwards and joined Lin Feng and the others. He stared at Huang Fulong. Tian Xian scored again. Were they going to rise? I hope that Tian Qi will be victorious this time, said Yu Tianji while looking up at the sky, as if he was trying to see through the stars. Chapter 795, Who Dares Attack? A sandstorm suddenly appeared in the desert containing some blood qi. Even those who were far away could see it and were intrigued. What a monstrous attack, great, thought Lin Feng speechless. Huang Fulong wasn't very smart. He found the treasure but made a big scene of unveiling it, alerting everyone in the surroundings. Lin Feng raised his head to the sky and saw many people coming towards them. There was someone around whom a gloomy qi floated. He was wearing a gallant robe. He was shocked to see Lin Feng when he arrived. Lin Feng was stupefied as well. Lin Feng suddenly looked furious and released some deadly qi which rolled in waves. What a coincidence, I wouldn't have thought that after turning into a demon, you would recover back to normal. It's no wonder I always considered you to be an incredible cultivator. Duan Wuya said to Lin Feng while smiling indifferently. That was the same smile he always wore, warm and friendly. The only thing that had changed from before was his cold and gloomy qi. What a coincidence indeed, said Lin Feng while releasing deadly energy. His sword qi was whistling louder and louder. Lin Feng wanted to kill Duan Wuya the most. Duan Wuya's plot had been way too cruel. Lin Feng, don't hate me like that. Without me, you would have never become what you are now. I saw you rise progressively. Even though many died, at least you've become strong. I also got what I wanted. We can continue to work together to conquer the Gan region, said Duan Wuya, ignoring Lin Feng's deadly energy. His smile was absolutely radiant. I only have one thought when it comes to you, said Lin Feng while slowly walking forwards and releasing sword qi which dashed to the skies, die. His sword qi was rolling in waves in the atmosphere. Lin Feng, be careful. Just like you, he obtained some items belonging to one of the 4 greatest Zun cultivators of the mysterious world, said Yu Tianji to Lin Feng as a warning. He didn't realize that Lin Feng would hate that guy so much. You are monstrously powerful now, seeing you with this strength is definitely surprising, whispered Duan Wuya when he sensed the sword qi. A terrifying gloomy sword qi emerged and the gloomy gourd appeared in his hand. Duan Wuya punched the air and a terrifying gloomy qi emerged out of the gourd which dashed out towards Lin Feng. The sword qi was being corroded by it. Lin Feng was surprised by its strength. What a corrosive qi. Duan Wuya had obtained one of the Zun cultivator's treasures as well. His blood sword appeared and its strength dashed to the skies. Sword qi started floating around the atmosphere. In a flash, a shield of sword qi appeared in front of Lin Feng and collided with the gloomy qi. Rumbling sounds could be heard all around. The sword qi was corroded once again. I'm coming. 2 golden lights appeared in the air. 2 resplendent golden wings appeared on Jun Mo Shi. His entire body broke through the gloomy qi, his silhouette flickered and he threw himself at Duan Wuya's head. You also have a precious treasure. Duan Wuya quickly realized. The golden lights could destroy the gloomy qi. But Duan Wuya's gloomy qi continued to head towards Lin Feng and the others. Bzzz, the ancient bell resonated. A gigantic bell shot out at Duan Wuya. In a flash, Duan Wuya's body became stiff and his gloomy qi was restricted. Die! A million swords were roaring furiously at Duan Wuya. It seemed like the terrifying sword lights were going to swallow Duan Wuya in one gulp. Duan Wuya's heart was pounding. Lin Feng's sword attack was terrifying. Without his gourd, he would die in a flash. Go! He put his hand on his gourd and more gloomy qi appeared from a hole, enveloping the sword qi and swallowing it. Duan Wuya saw that Lin Feng was still attacking, so he made his gourd spit out even more gloomy qi. Lin Feng's sword was dancing around in the air. 9 heavy shields made of swords appeared and blocked the gloomy qi. Lin Feng, we'll meet again. Lin Feng only saw Duan Wuya sitting on his gigantic gourd, flying as fast as he could. A golden light flickered. Jun Mo she came back next to Lin Feng. He was also staring at Duan Wuya in the distance when he said, "That gourd is terrifying, it seems even more powerful than my golden robe. It's difficult to attack him and protect yourself from him. You found 2 treasures in the first palace, and he only found 1. Its power is unprecedented, so that must be why," said Yu Tianji, who didn't know that Lin Feng and the others had actually found 3 treasures. Lin Feng and the others were relieved. The Zun cultivator's treasures were monstrously powerful, they could enable a cultivator to conquer the Gan region with ease. He is as insidious as he was in the past, thought Lin Feng, whose facial expression looked as cold as before. Duan Wuya ran away after seeing that the circumstances were not favorable for him. He was as treacherous and insidious as before. Several other strong cultivators arrived. They looked extremely greedy each time they saw the blood pool. There had to be some precious treasures inside that pool. The strength contained in that blood was terrifying. If I manage to get inside, I'll find some amazing treasures, many of them thought. Even if the blood from the pool wasn't compatible with their own, they would still become stronger. They wanted to acquire the strength of that blood pool. Those who thought that there couldn't be anything in the desert were coming back as well. Lin Feng looked at the blood pool. Huang Fulong was already inside it, sensing the blood. It reminded Lin Feng of the past, when he absorbed the strength of the purple snake's blood. However, the blood pool in front of his eyes now was much more powerful than that of the purple snakes. Back then, the blood pool was in a cave and had been there for 1,000 years. So, it became less powerful. However, it seems like this one had been sealed by the Zun cultivator, which was seemingly broken by Huang Fulong. On top of that, the Zun cultivator's strength was probably matchless, so the strength of the pool hadn't evaporated, thought Lin Feng. If back then, he had been as strong as he was now, he wouldn't have needed to rely on his snake spirit to swallow it. Instead, he could swallow it directly and reap the benefits more directly. Lin Feng also wanted to bathe in that blood pool. Of course, that was a bit complicated because he couldn't bother Huang Fulong, that would be like attacking his spirit. More and more strong cultivators were gathering. They all looked greedier than the next. They didn't attack when their numbers were few, especially because Jun Mo Shi and Yunfei Yang's treasures were extremely powerful. Besides, Lin Feng had just proved how strong he was. However, they could win with sheer numbers. Someone looking at the crowd said, "Everybody, that blood pool contains a monstrous strength. If we manage to bathe in it, we'll become a lot stronger. We should attack together to kill those people so we can share the pool." Sir. That person had barely finished talking before a gigantic blood-red light shot him down. Lin Feng was already furious because Duan Wuya had escaped. He had no patience left, so he released his terrifying blood sword and attacked with the speed of lightning. That person's pupils shrank, he released some fist attacks. But it only delayed the inevitable. Lin Feng's sword was extremely powerful and had pierced him. A few seconds ago, he was dreaming of bathing in the blood pool and now he was dead. "If anyone dares attack, I'll kill them," shouted Lin Feng furiously. Chapter 796, Monstrous Huang Fulong. As expected, Lin Feng could kill someone in a flash with his sword. That somehow made people wake up from their dreams. What a terrifying sword. They were trying to think if they would have been able to resist Lin Feng's attack a moment before. Many realized that they couldn't escape such an attack. That sword contained level 6 sword intent and was as fast as thunder. If their own intent wasn't at least level 4 or 5, or if they didn't have incredible magical powers, they wouldn't be able to withstand a single attack. Even though they were all real geniuses, not all of them had the strength of level 4 or 5 intent, let alone 6. Lin Feng had already surpassed them by far. His strength was simply terrifying. Even though they were surprised and scared of Lin Feng, it was difficult for them to give up on the treasure in front of them. It seemed like the blood of the pool was boiling. Blood chi dashed to the skies, but Lin Feng and the others released a majestic chi in every direction to curb any reckless thoughts. Half a day passed like that. The crowd continued to grow. Some people weren't able to control themselves and attacked. Some had gathered in large groups of 10 to 20 people, but in 3 seconds, they had been slaughtered by Lin Feng. His blood sword was extremely powerful. One attack could kill 10 people. He could even swallow their blood and purified his. Jun Mo's golden lights would streak through the sky and blood would splash everywhere. Yunfei Yang's ancient bell could oppress people in his surroundings and then destroy them. Yu Tianji's 7 stars were also terrifying and seemed indestructible. There was also that girl who looked febrile. But her agility techniques were incredible, coupled with her golden gloves, she could take lives with her punches. Those 5 were extremely powerful. Nobody left dared to attack anymore, especially after realizing that amongst those 5, 3 had precious weapons in their possession. "He's really enjoying the blood pool," said Yunfei Yang, looking down at the blood pool. The fact that Huang Fulong already spent so much time bathing in it proved that how beneficial it was to him. Things quickly became dark. The blood energy in the atmosphere was becoming more intense. It still seemed to be boiling, but in an even scarier way, gigantic waves rolled in the pool. "Arg!" A loud shout resounded along with rumbling sounds. Everybody looked at the blood pool and saw a silhouette dashing to the skies. He was surrounded by golden lights and seemed to be filled with a boundless strength. His golden hair seemed to reflect the sun, that bright energy looked dazzling. What astonished people the most was that, at that moment, a real dragon was curled up on him. It was singing the chant of the dragons. He had a gigantic golden axe in his hands with a dragon carving on it. It looked alive as if a real dragon resided in it. That dragon axe seemed like it could pierce through to the vault of heaven. "Is that Huang Fulong?" asked Lin Feng while smiling. Huang Fulong looked like a dragon, his strength and power seemed matchless. He looked like a peerless warlord able to defeat the deities with his dragon axe. "He, one of my ancestors died here," said Huang Fulong, leaving Lin Feng speechless. Was that Zun cultivator really one of Huang Fulong's ancestors? Lin Feng, I was right. No wonder my feelings were so intense. The one who died here had the same blood spirit as me. It has to be one of my ancestors. Huang Fulong was giggling. That would explain why Huang Fulong suddenly felt so strange. The Zun cultivator's blood turned into a blood spirit and he then sealed it underground in the desert. Ordinary people couldn't find the pool because they didn't have the same blood spirit. Not only did his spirit become stronger, he acquired that axe. "Don't you know anything about your ancestors?" joked Lin Feng. Huang Fulong had achieved so much and was so strong, could it be that he knew nothing about his family history? No, I have no idea. Since childhood, my only dream has always been to marry a beautiful woman, the pure woman of Tianqi. I've become less ambitious recently, it seems. Huang Fulong was scratching his head. Even though he talked about it freely, Lin Feng had the feeling that Huang Fulong was bitter about it still. "Your wife will definitely be more outstanding than Tianqi Shui," smiled Lin Feng. Huang Fulong nodded and giggled, "I think so too." In the middle of the crowd, a white silhouette raised their head and seemingly looked like an all-conquering warlord in the sky. That white silhouette was precisely Tianqi Shui. The expression in her eyes looked complex. She used to despise Lin Feng and Huang Fulong. Her behavior was particularly detestable when Huang Fulong was courting her. She thought that Huang Fulong wasn't good enough for her. She never thought that Lin Feng, Huang Fulong and the others would quickly obtain the same status as Yu Tianji. Although she was the holy woman of Tianqi, she was the one looking up at them. Her heart was filled with remorse and bitterness. Maybe that moronic Huang Fulong would become a warlord and conquer the world with his dragon axe. Lin Feng, the energy from that blood pool is extremely thick and rich, I wasn't able to finish absorbing it. You should get inside and absorb some as well, said Huang Fulong smiling. Lin Feng became excited. Indeed, the pool created by the Zun cultivator was too powerful for Huang Fulong. It was no surprise that he was unable to absorb it entirely with his cultivation level. Lin Feng looked at the others when Huang Fulong said, "Don't worry, go in first and the others will later have the opportunity to absorb the energy until the pool dries." "Okay," said Lin Feng nodding. Everyone else nodded, so Lin Feng jumped in. A scorching hot chi assaulted his body. Lin Feng felt like he was bathing in a sea of needles. Arg! The dragon chant started resonating from the pool. Everybody became confused. What was going on? Why was the chant of the dragon with Lin Feng as well? He also has a dragon spirit. Huang Fulong realized with a bright smile. He then glanced at the crowd with his axe on his shoulders and shouted furiously, "What are you all looking at? You all should piss off quickly." The crowd stared at Huang Fulong, that bastard. After letting Lin Feng get in, he told them to piss off. "Arg, Daddy is majestic and all-conquering," said Huang Fulong while carrying the dragon axe on his shoulder and slowly walking forwards. He touched the tip of his axe with his other hand and said coldly, "Everybody retreat at least 5 kilometers, otherwise I won't act polite anymore." Many people looked gloom and remained silent. One of them said, "Your Excellency, don't be cruel. We're not trying to steal anything, can we not watch?" Arg! Huang Fulong took a deep breath and lifted the axe from his shoulder. "If you didn't intend to steal anything, why would you stay here and waste your time watching? If my friends weren't extremely strong, you would have attacked me earlier. Since it's that way, I won't be magnanimous anymore. I will start with you, let's see how powerful this dragon axe is," said Huang Fulong. Crackling sound spread out of his forearm as his axe streaked through the sky, leaving a trail behind him. Arg! His dragon chant made people's heart throb. The crowd only saw a terrifying light. The atmosphere was filled with a golden light which shot out at the crowd. A real dragon was chanting with fury in that golden light. The axe crashed into that person, reducing them to ashes. They didn't even have time to shout. "You're still here," said Huang Fulong to the rest of the crowd, brandishing his axe. He looked extremely brutal. Chapter 797, Group Fight. The crowd's facial expressions were hideous. Huang Fulong bathed in the blood pool and obtained that dragon axe. His attack made the entire world tremble, nobody could resist him anymore. He had a real dragon which could crush people into smoke. "Let's go," someone had a bad feeling. Almost everybody gave up. Trying to steal the treasure was hopeless. Maybe they could find the 4th palace before Lin Feng's group. Very quickly, silhouettes started flickering away. Lin Feng's group was too strong, even acting together was helpless. Hee hee. Huang Fulong laughed proudly. He could easily kill geniuses with his axe, not bad. Some geniuses from Tianqi hadn't left, namely Tianqi Shui. Huang Fulong glanced at her, but unlike before, he looked at her in a detached way. He held no signs of love or passion in his eyes anymore. Maybe Lin Feng was right, Tianqi Shui wasn't worth his time. She was arrogant and despised him. His feelings had always been unilateral. Trying to win her heart was useless, so he held no feelings for her anymore. Tianqi Shui's feelings were further mixed when she saw this. "It seems like you don't need me anymore, I'm off," said Yu Tianji indifferently. He jumped forwards, his silhouette flickered and left. 3 palaces had bin found now, so he could use his power of the stars to find the 4th palace. He wanted to find some treasure himself as well. Even though he lost against Lin Feng and handed the title of leader to Lin Feng, he wouldn't admit defeat that easily. He wanted to defeat Lin Feng next time and become the leader again. Tian Xian started to rise, but Tianji Peak hadn't collapsed yet. They were still the best of the 7 snowy peaks. Bathing in that pool can strengthen your muscles and blood vessels. Hey, said Huang Fu Long to Yu Tianji. Yu Tianji was a proud man. I don't need stronger muscles and blood vessels, said Yu Tianji indifferently before disappearing in the horizon. Lin Feng was still bathing in the pool when a few silhouettes approached from the distance. One of them was wearing a grey robe, Duan Wuya. There were others with him. One of them was Di Ling from the East Sea Dragon Palace, another was a domineering-looking young man wearing a purple robe. He had an extremely high status within the East Dragon Sea Palace. He was Ao Jiao, the son of one of the 4 Dragon Kings. He was the leader of the group representing the East Sea Dragon Palace in the mysterious world. Apart from Di Ling and Ao Jiao, there were 2 others. One of them was Duan Wuya's brother, the Crown Prince of Shuiyu, Duan Wudao. Next to Duan Wudao was someone wearing a crown. They looked like a king. He was a member of the Jade Heaven Imperial family, Huang Feng. Duan Wudao became a member of the Jade Heaven Imperial clan, so they helped him become stronger. Even though Duan Wudao wasn't as strong as other members from the clan, the strong cultivators of the Jade Heaven Imperial clan decided to make him stay with Huang Feng and become an assistant. Are you sure about what you said earlier? Huang Feng asked Duan Wuya. He looked like a domineering member of a monarchy, as if he was the king of the world. If I were trying to fool you, would I fool my brother as well? Asked Duan Wuya while smiling indifferently. Duan Wudao remained silent. Brother. Was he joking? He had already fooled him too many times to count. Huang Feng declined to comment. If what Duan Wuya was right, he would definitely give it a try. Huang Feng hadn't found any palaces yet. All 4 palaces contained Zun cultivators' graves and held incredible treasures. If he could obtain those treasures, he would become even stronger. Look, we arrived, said Duan Wuya pointing to the distance. Huang Feng and the others raised their heads and looked off to the distance. As expected, sand was floating around in the sky and the blood qi was quite thick. Duan Wuya hadn't fooled them. Let's go. The 5 of them accelerated but were surprised to find almost nobody there. There were only 4 people protecting the deep blood pool in the middle of the desert. The atmosphere was filled with an incredible blood qi. A dragon axe, an ancient bell and a golden robe. Their pupils shrank looking at their treasures. Now they really believed Duan Wuya. Their eyes started twinkling with excitement after seeing those items and the energies released by them. I want the golden robe, said Huang Feng referring to Jun Moshi's robe. That golden robe perfectly matched his social status. I want the axe, said Ao Jiao, staring at Huang Fu Long's dragon axe. He immediately fell in love with that axe. Deities probably created that axe just for him. Everybody, all of them are extremely strong. Their strength coupled with those precious weapons are extremely dangerous. I know that all of you are extremely strong, but you have to be careful. I am too weak to join the battle, so you all can have the weapons you like, said Duan Wuya, smiling. His friends nodded. They were not in the mood to listen to Duan Wuya. All they wanted were those precious weapons. Duan Wudao looked deep into Duan Wuya's eyes for his intentions. But Duan Wuya retreated with incredible speeds. He wanted nothing to do with the coming battle. Lin Feng finished bathing in the pool a while ago. He saw the group approaching and recognized Duan Wudao and Di Ling but not the other 2. One of them was wearing a purple robe and looked extraordinary while the other one looked like a member of a monarchy. Those were probably the leaders from the Jade Heaven and East Sea Dragon Palace groups. He really has no moral values, thought Lin Feng, watching Duan Wuya leave. Lin Feng became expressionless. Duan Wuya was too sly. He brought those people to fight for him. Di Ling and Duan Wudao looked over at Lin Feng and released a strong battle energy. Back at the great competition, Lin Feng had defeated both of them. They still remembered and wanted to get their revenge. "Give us your items," said Huang Feng indifferently, glancing at Lin Feng and his friends, leaving no room for arguing. Lin Feng smiled and said, "Jade Heaven Imperial Clan and East Sea Dragon Palace." Back during the Shuayu battle, Jade Heaven and East Sea Dragon Palace acted to massacre Lin Feng's loved ones. Lin Feng would never forgive them. Lin Feng had his 4 friends with him, Jun Mo Shi, Yun Fei Yang, Huang Fulong and Tang Yuyu. Tang Yuyu was bathing in the blood pool now so she couldn't fight. It was 4 on 4 so Lin Feng wasn't scared. Apart from him, Jun Mo Shi and the others held incredible items. "If you want them, come and take them from us," said Lin Feng emotionlessly. "I want that robe," Huang Feng said again while jumping forwards. He looked absolutely majestic, throwing himself at Jun Mo Shi. "The axe is mine," said Ao Jiao looking brutal. He also threw himself at Huang Fulong. Di Ling and Duan Wudao looked at Lin Feng with a burning battle energy. "He's mine," said Di Ling, throwing himself at Lin Feng. "Humph," groaned Duan Wudao, throwing himself at Lin Feng as well. "Kill them if you can," said Lin Feng coldly. He jumped forwards as well. Sword Chi dashed to the skies, his level 6 sword intent invaded the atmosphere. Level 6 intent, Duan Wudao and Di Ling were astonished. They wouldn't have thought that Lin Feng would already be so strong. It seemed like the battle wasn't going to be as easy as they thought. "Do I need to fight?" said Yun Fei Yang. Nobody wanted to fight him. "No need, you should wait on the sideline for an opportunity to kill them," said Lin Feng indifferently. Surrounded by an infinite amount of sword chi, Lin Feng wanted to fight Di Ling and Duan Wudao alone. Chapter 798, Great Battle. A large battle was starting. The entire atmosphere was filled with rumbling and whistling energies. Apart from Yun Fei Yang, all 7 people were fighting with incredible strengths. Huang Feng's chi was very powerful. He looked like a brutal king, majestic and domineering with great skills and abilities. Jun Mo Shi's chi was righteous. Even though his skills and abilities weren't as skilled as his opponents, they still didn't dare to attack him directly. They both looked majestic and proud. Ao Jiao and Huang Fulong's punches could disintegrate boulders. One was the son of a king, wearing that famous golden-purple robe, possessing a flood dragon blood spirit skills to control dragons. He was so strong that he could destroy mountains and oceans, nobody could resist his power. However, Huang Fulong didn't fear him. He also had a dragon spirit and bathed in the blood pool. His chi was vigorous and powerful. His dragon axe seemed capable of shaking the entire universe. Di Ling and Duan Wudao were still fighting against Lin Feng together. Firmament intent invaded the entire atmosphere and oppressed Lin Feng to the extent that his sword chi broke. The scariest part was Duan Wudao was also releasing some terrifying sealing intent. Lin Feng had no choice but to use his full power. Those two coupled with each other were strong Lin Feng, to the extent that his level 6 sword intent couldn't hold up. "It seems like you didn't waste your time in the last 3 months," Lin Feng said in a cold and detached way. After getting hit by one of their attacks, he was propelled backwards. Di Ling and Duan Wudao, one had joined the East Sea Dragon Palace and the other one the Jade Heaven Imperial Clan. They had access to a world-class education and could progress with incredible speeds in terms of cultivation. They were much stronger than they were at the great competition, their intent had leveled up and they had learnt and improved their skills. "Neither have you," said Di Ling coldly. He then shouted furiously, "Firmament!" More whistling sounds spread in the air as the pressure became immense, oppressing Lin Feng. It seemed like the entire sky was falling onto him and would crush him. Lin Feng raised his head and absorbed sunlight into his body. In a flash, a bright fire ignited all around him. Demon strength possessed him as lights were flashing all around him. Lin Feng had also bathed in the blood pool, his muscles and blood vessels were much stronger than before. Lin Feng raised his hands and started punching the oppressive energy in the sky with a strength capable of shifting the clouds. "Brutal king punches," shouted Duan Wudao furiously. It seemed like 1,000,000 kilos were falling down onto Lin Feng now. At the same time, Duan Wudao shook his other hand and shot out seal energy towards Lin Feng. Lin Feng became motionless. The terrifying heaven pressure coupled with the sealed door's intent seemed like heaven and earth were turning upside down. "Piss off." Lin Feng joined his hands again and fire began burning in his muscles and blood vessels. Duan Wudao's king punches were swiftly destroyed, causing him to groan. A terrifying majestic qi started flowing in the veins of his forearms. 9 imperial bursts. Duan Wudao started punching Lin Feng again. Crackling sounds continued spreading in the air, again oppressing Lin Feng's forearms this time. Lin Feng hadn't seen this technique before. 9 marks appeared on his forearms which seemed like they were going to burst. After the 7th mark finished appearing clearly, it felt like his bones going to shatter. Lin Feng circulated demon strength to flow in his forearms as crackling sounds spread in the air. Lin Feng's arm was safe now, it seemed. Lin Feng's facial expression looked ice cold as he used his other hand to carry out an attack. A gigantic demon hand appeared above Duan Wudao and attacked. It seemed like Duan Wudao was going to be crushed like an insect. Duan Wudao didn't panic, he moved his arm back as an imperial qi vibrated in the air above him. Duan Wudao used both of his hands to assault Lin Feng's black hand. However, what seemed like a boundless sword light surprised him with incredible speeds. Seal. Boom boom boom. Duan Wudao's pupils were opened wide, his sealed doors appeared again to seal Lin Feng's sword energies. At the same time, a sealed door shot out at Lin Feng. "Ha, are you serious?" laughed Lin Feng. He released level 6 sword intent and assaulted the sealed door directed at him again and again. He also continued to punch the atmosphere. Lin Feng was attacking so quickly that after images of punches could be seen. Kacha! Kacha! The sealed door disintegrated and Lin Feng condensed his sword qi. His entire body started burning and concentrating as well. How scary, thought Di Ling and Duan Wudao when they sensed the power of that sword. Their hearts were pounding. At that moment, the vault heaven seemed like it was going to crash onto Lin Feng's head. Di Ling was using his firmament intent mercilessly. "Die!" shouted Di Ling furiously. The pressure was so intense that it seemed like the earth and sky were turning upside down. "Piss off!" roared Lin Feng furiously. Waves of deadly qi rolled in the atmosphere at Di Ling, who then roared back. Firmament intent continued to bombard assault Lin Feng. Slash! Sword qi streaked across the sky, then Lin Feng had seemingly disappeared. His all-conquering sword cut through the sealed doors, one after the other, leaving them disintegrate. "Die!" Lin Feng's voice sounded furiously. He wanted to kill Duan Wudao with this strike. His sword seemed indestructible and unstoppable, the sealed doors were all destroyed. Boom boom boom. Di Ling carried out another attack as the entire atmosphere trembled, but Lin Feng wasn't there anymore. Duan Wudao suddenly looked deathly pale. Lin Feng had fused together with his sword and destroyed his sealed door's spirit. To Duan Wudao, it all happened too quickly, he was unable to avoid the attack. Kacha! A sound spread in the air as if something broke. In a flash, Duan Wudao was surrounded by an incredible imperial qi. Lin Feng became a sharp sword and assaulted Duan Wudao, dividing the imperial qi with each attack. "Die!" shouted Duan Wudao, using more imperial qi. He couldn't believe that fighting Lin Feng would be so difficult, especially with Di Ling's help. He already exhausted all of his skills. Lin Feng's progress was terrifying. Duan Wudao felt that the gap between them widening still. "Die!" Di Ling had almost arrived now, approaching from behind Lin Feng, and assaulting him with a punch. Bzzz, a bell resonated. A gigantic ancient bell appeared in the sky, diffusing strange lights. Di Ling and Duan Wudao suddenly felt paralyzed, as if they had fallen into quicksand. Lin Feng abruptly turned around and his blood sword whistled furiously. Blood splashed everywhere as Duan Wudao and Di Ling were propelled backward. Bzzz. Another buzzing sound was emitted by Yunfei Yang's ancient bell. Yunfei Yang was targeting Di Ling. Di Ling managed to punch through the ancient bell, but he spat out a mouthful of blood when his hand connected. Duan Wudao's abdomen was also covered with blood. He was injured by Lin Feng's sword. Duan Wudao and Di Ling retreated some and condensed pure qi to heal their injuries. Meanwhile, they stared at Lin Feng. Bzzz. The ancient bell resonated again and sound waves shot out towards Ao Jiao. At the same time, Huang Fulong shouted furiously, like a real dragon. His axe cut the atmosphere. Ao Jiao was numb from their previous exchanges and couldn't avoid the attack. In a flash, the axe cut through some of his muscles. Huang Feng was struggling as well. Jun Mo, she was as strong as him, but the ancient bell influenced their battle. All of them were more or less injured, unable to steal any treasure. Their facial expressions all looked hideous. They were so strong and dignified, but weren't able to defeat these few people. Chapter 799, Healing Pill. Duan Wudao's injuries were the most serious. His sealed door spirit was cut in half by Lin Feng. Lin Feng's facial expression looked ice-cold now. He used the 9 winds technique and threw his clones at Duan Wudao. Di Ling looked at Duan Wudao but didn't help him. He was a member of the East Sea Dragon Palace and Duan Wudao joined Jade Heaven. The only thing they had in common was Lin Feng. At other times, Duan Wudao and Di Ling were enemies. A terrifying firmament intent invaded the atmosphere. Di Ling condensed as much intent as he could. If Lin Feng attacked Duan Wudao, then Di Ling could also use his strongest attack against Lin Feng. How great would it be if Lin Feng and Duan Wudao would die together? Don't worry, just focus, shouted Yunfei Yang. Di Ling was too sly. Yunfei Yang wouldn't allow him to use Duan Wudao as bait. Bzzz. The ancient bell resonated and its sound waves rolled towards Di Ling. The gigantic bell was moving with incredible speed. Again, Di Ling felt paralyzed. Now I'm your opponent, said Yunfei Yang while running towards Di Ling. His clothes were fluttering in the wind. He borrowed the force of the earth and fused it with the ancient bell, making it resonate even louder. Di Ling thought the earth and sky were collapsing. He wanted to go attack Lin Feng from behind, but now he couldn't. He became strong as well, thought Di Ling, pulling a long face. Back then, Yunfei Yang wasn't that weak, ending in the 10 top best cultivators of the great competition. But he was still far from matching Di Ling's strength. Yunfei Yang became stronger, coupled with the power of the ancient bell. He could hold his own against Di Ling, even though he received instructions from the outstanding teachers at the East Sea Dragon Palace. Amongst the 10 top cultivators of the great competition, everyone had seemingly made significant progress. Duan Wudao was now being assaulted by the 9 clones. He couldn't see where the actual Lin Feng was. He already used all his skills, now he could only rely on his own physical strength to resist Lin Feng. Seal! Shouted Duan Wudao furiously, releasing terrifying sealed door intent, hoping to seal Lin Feng's clones. Boom boom kacha. The clones' hands moved, attacking the sealed door intent and cracking it. At the same time, a terrifying sword chi launched at Duan Wudao. Arg! Duan Wudao roared loudly, an infinite amount of imperial chi surrounded him. The earth and sky shook as if a million beasts were rampaging. Could the emblematic beast of Jade Heaven be the Qilin, thought Lin Feng. Fearlessly, Lin Feng's sword intent turned into a myriad of terrifying rays of light, all darting towards Duan Wudao and piercing through the imperial qi and lacerating the Qilins. Boom boom boom. Lin Feng punched the atmosphere in Duan Wudao's direction, making him groan furiously. Blood was splashing everywhere. If Lin Feng's punches reached him, he would die. Go back. In a flash, some punches crossed the atmosphere towards Lin Feng. The Kylans were roaring furiously, they wanted to devour Lin Feng. Those punches were terrifying and filled with deadly energies. Lin Feng didn't have time to carry out another attack, so he moved like the wind, disappearing from where he was. Huang Feng and Duan Wudao's facial expressions looked hideous, they were standing close to each other and staring at Lin Feng and his friends. He thought that it would be easy to steal Jun Mo's golden robe, but it didn't turn out his way. The fight itself was monstrously difficult. Huang Feng and the others had turned out to be weaker than Lin Feng and his friends. Lin Feng alone was able to cope with Di Ling and Duan Wudao. Jun Mo she could deal with Huang Feng. Huang Fulong was able to cope with Ao Jiao. Ao Jiao and Huang Fulong stopped fighting, it looked like they wouldn't be able to steal the treasures this time. My friends, I have a healing pill here that we can share, said Lin Feng. Flames started burning around his body and subtle sounds spread in the air. His sword chi was increasingly powerful, Lin Feng's body was entirely surrounded by whistling sword and fire energy. The young leaders of Jade Heaven and the East Sea Dragon Palace as well as Duan Wudao and Di Ling wished they could have benefited from it. Lin Feng's friends wanted to know what he was planning when they sensed all that energy. They looked excited, their eyes were twinkling. Those bastards had come to steal their treasures and lost completely. Plus, Lin Feng had a healing pill, so they had nothing to fear. Hee, let me join in, shouted Huang Fulong furiously. A dragon appeared from his body and rose up. A terrifying energy shot out from the dragon axe, it seemed like it could destroy the entire world. Jun Mo's energy of righteousness invaded the sky, his terrifying pure chi was reflecting on his golden robe out from which an incredibly dazzling light emerged. I'll go first, said Yunfei Yang, laughing out loud. He jumped forwards and the force of the earth started rolling in waves. It seemed like Mother Earth was furious, the force was rolling like a tsunami. His pure chi continued crashing onto his bell, which kept releasing terrifying energies. Dong! The ancient bell had invaded the entire atmosphere and the sound waves it emitted made the entire area vibrate. The energies were so powerful that the four enemies felt like suffocating. I'm second, said Jun Mo with a more serious tone. A million golden rays of light streaked across the sky at the four enemies. Firmament. Seal. Roar. The four enemies' facial expressions looked hideous. The firmament and sealed door energies invaded the atmosphere. A flood dragon from Ao Jiao's body, Huang Feng continued releasing monumental amounts of imperial qi which collided with the golden qi, emitting crackling sounds. Blood splashed everywhere. Die, shouted Huang Fulong furiously. The golden lights hadn't disappeared yet as Huang Fulong jumped up in the sky and released an extremely brutal strength which he condensed into his dragon axe. His real dragon kept roaring loudly as his terrifying axe and the real dragon plummeted towards the enemies. Boom boom boom. The four merciless enemies' energies crashed into the real dragon and the gigantic dragon axe. To the side, the light from a black lotus appeared. Lin Feng condensed all his pure qi into that black lotus, and at the same time, released all his sword qi. Instantly, the entire world was invaded by death and void. Ah! Huang Feng had no choice, he needed to protect himself. In a flash, terrifying waves of imperial qi appeared in front of him. Ao Jiao spat out a small dragon image which turned into a dragon to block the attacks. The black lotus was going to swallow them as the atmosphere was filled with black flames. Duan Wudao hid behind Huang Feng, they were all turning black from the glow of the fire. Di Ling was in the worst position, he initially wanted to block the black lotus with his firmament energies but Huang Fulong's axe destroyed it, then the black lotus fell on him. His forearm burnt and fell off. In the middle of the fire, two pitch-black pupils appeared. Lin Feng appeared in front of the four enemies, their hearts pounded painfully. Let's go. Ao Jiao turned into a flood dragon and used all his strength to escape. Huang Feng used all of his imperial qi to block the attacks while Duan Wudao followed suit as well. Di Ling wasn't not able to retreat, Lin Feng blocked him with a punch. Even if you join the East Sea Dragon Palace, I will kill you, said Lin Feng. A hand filled with deadly energies crashed onto Di Ling's, cracking it wide open. Di Ling finally died. Chapter 800, The Omniscience of the Stars, Roar. Huang Fulong roared furiously, it sounded like he didn't want to finish yet. He wanted to throw his dragon axe at them from a distance. Huang Fulong, shouted Lin Feng. Huang Fulong turned his head and asked, are we not chasing them? No need, we will meet them again, said Lin Feng while shaking his head. Ao Jiao and Huang Feng were the leaders of Jade Heaven and the East Sea Dragon Palace groups. Lin Feng watched as the three silhouettes in the horizon left discontent. It was unfortunate that they hadn't managed to kill all of them, otherwise Lin Feng would be overjoyed. Lin Feng broke the healing pill and shared it with the others. They all took the medicine, and as expected, they recovered quickly. Jun Mo Shi and Yunfei Yang knew that Lin Feng used that same medicine back during that crucial moment of the great competition. Lin Feng, your Black Lotus is even more terrifying. If you used it against me, I would die without contest, said Jun Mo Shi, smiling wryly and shaking his head. Lin Feng's power was really monstrous. Yep, even with my ancient bell, I would die in a flash, agreed Yunfei Yang nodding. They sensed Lin Feng's Black Lotus as it struck and it left an impression. How terrifying! Nothing could stop it, not even Ao Jiao's dragon and Huang Feng's boundless imperial qi. They had all almost burned as well. What are you guys talking about? Ha! Lin Feng would never do you any harm, giggled Huang Fulong. Yunfei Yang and Jun Mo Shi laughed as well. Lin Feng's fire was becoming even stronger. Lin Feng and his three friends were safe in the mysterious world if they stayed together. Lin Feng smiled indifferently while looking at the blood pool, there were bubbles and foam on the surface. Tang Yuyu came out of the pool, a bright red light was twinkling on her body. Yuyu, how are you? Asked Lin Feng. He had already bathed in the blood pool and became stronger. His muscles and blood vessels were so strong that he could kill people of the 8th Xian Qi layer without making pure qi flow. Coupled with his Haruka's strength, he could easily destroy ordinary cultivators of the 9th Xian Qi layer. Besides, his spirit had changed after the bath. He was convinced that if he had another opportunity to absorb essence, it would be extremely beneficial for his spirit. That blood pool doesn't really suit me, but my muscles and flesh still became stronger, replied Tang Yuyu. That's already good then. At least, it will be even more difficult for you to be injured by ordinary attacks, said Lin Feng while smiling. The blood pool couldn't suit everybody to the fullest. I found this in the blood pool as well, said Tang Yuyu, opening the palm of her hand and revealing a dazzling golden light. Tang Yuyu had a scale in her hand, it was large and possessed an incredible qi. It's a dragon scale. Lin Feng was surprised. That dragon scale was releasing an incredible qi. It does look like a dragon scale, so maybe it belonged to the Zun cultivator, said Tang Yuyu. Lin Feng was captivated. In his previous world, dragons were legendary creatures. In the world of cultivation, there were many incredible creatures. Maybe someday he would be able to see a real dragon. Huang Fulong, it's for you, said Tang Yuyu, throwing the scale at Huang Fulong. He caught it and looked at it. He then smiled and said, there is a great power in that thing, but it would be a waste for me to keep it, I wouldn't know how to use it. Lin Feng, keep it and maybe you'll be able to use it someday. Lin Feng accepted it. He gave it a quick glance and put it away. He didn't think about it too much. Just like Huang Fulong said, it seemed to contain an incredible strength, but if he didn't know how to use it then it was just a waste. Huang Fulong, what do you intend to do with the blood pool? Asked Lin Feng. It might have belonged to his ancestors, so Huang Fulong could actually decide how to deal with it. There is still more strength inside and it was made by an extremely strong cultivator. I don't want to waste that power, said Huang Fulong. Lin Feng nodded. Huang Fulong was quite careless and usually adopted a detached attitude, but he seemed to give this thought. 3 palaces have been found, so there is still one left. They hadn't heard anything about the great emperor's grave, so they had to find the 4th underground palace. Look there, said Tang Yuyu, pointing behind Lin Feng. Lin Feng and the others turned around and saw some starlights in the horizon. Lin Feng immediately recognized that they were Yu Tianji's. Has Yu Tianji found something? Let's go and see. Lin Feng jumped in that direction, the others immediately following him. Wait, wait. I'm not done speaking, shouted Huang Fulong, but the others were already too far away. He had thought, if we find the 4 palaces and use their teachings, we might find the emperor's grave, but nothing is guaranteed. Huang Fulong's silhouette flickered as he hurried to catch up with the others. In the distance, Yu Tianji was standing at the entrance of a palace. There were many corpses in front of him and the starlights in his eyes looked dazzling. Yu Tianji turned around, bowed in front of the entrance and whispered, "Thank you, I am infinitely grateful. I will always follow my principles and walk on the right path." Yu Tianji then stomped on the ground and the palace started collapsing on itself, unable to appear again. Yu Tianji raised his head and looked at the starlights disappearing. He then whispered, "I've always believed in the stars. It has been 1,000 years, was this fate?" The 4 Zun cultivators' palaces were found, so the great emperor's grave would likely be found as well, but by whom? Yu Tianji wanted the omniscience of the stars, but he couldn't obtain it yet. He was just a cultivator of the Xian-Qi layer. Could the great emperor be immortal? Why did he have a grave then? Yu Tianji took out a star disk and put his hand on it. Even though he wasn't omniscient, his star skills were incredibly powerful. At least, he could estimate an approximate location of the great emperor's grave. The Great Bear's lights were reflecting on the star disk. 7 rays of light started revolving, 4 of them stopped on the 4 locations where the Zun cultivators' palaces were. The 3 others kept moving, surprising Yu Tianji. Banging. His star disk had broken. Yu Tianji shook his head and smiled wryly. His silhouette flickered, now he could only rely on luck. The 4 Zun cultivators' palaces were found, so he was convinced that the great emperor's grave would appear very soon. Chapter 801, Palace Hologram. Lin Feng and his friends arrived at the palace to find a pile of corpses on the ground. "How tranquil," whispered Lin Feng. "The 4th palace has already been found," said Jun Mo Shi. Huang Fulong and Yunfei Yang nodded, "Yes, someone must have obtained great treasures." As expected. Lin Feng noted that the 4 palaces were found and now wondered where the great emperor's palaces was. "Hee. I think I can find the great emperor's grave," said Huang Fulong, giggling. Instantly, the others looked at him. Could he really find it? "I learnt many things from the Zun cultivator at the pool. Nobody knows where his grave is, but it has to be on a vein of earth where dragon chi is extremely dense. The 4 Zun cultivators' palaces are on veins of earth where dragon chi is. Now that they have all been found, the dragon chi is much denser than before, so I can use my dragon blood spirit to sense where the densest dragon chi is," said Huang Fulong, still giggling. The fact that the dragon chi was initially not perceptible meant that the great emperor's palace had to be discovered first. Everything was preordained fate. "Can you sense the dragon chi now?" asked Lin Feng to Huang Fulong. Huang Fulong's eyes were twinkling while pointing in one direction, that is where the dragon chi is the densest. The place that Huang Fulong pointed was in the middle of the 4 palaces. Many had already found out about the palaces, so there was no time to waste. They all went in that direction, finding nothing on their way. The center of the region was a vast and desolate area, devoid of chi and corpses. That place seemed so uninteresting that nobody would have wanted to stop there. Could the great emperor of legends be underground? Thought Lin Feng. There is nothing there, but if the great emperor is here, it has to be underground. Huang Fulong, we are following your instincts, said Lin Feng. Huang Fulong nodded, his silhouette flickered and he pressed himself against the ground. He could sense the dragon chi the best if he got closer to the ground. Lin Feng and his friends continued to move around but saw no one. The strong cultivators who came to the mysterious world were looking for treasure, nothing else. The dragon chi is incredibly dense, said Huang Fulong, smiling. His senses wouldn't betray when it came to sensing dragon energy. If the grave really was at the place where the dragon chi was the densest, then they were very close. What would happen if they found his grave? Maybe, finding the great emperor's grave would lead to their deaths. Maybe the great emperor wanted them to receive his teachings, or maybe he didn't want to be found at all. Regardless, the great emperor's grave definitely contained some amazing treasures. He buried his people with him, so it was easy to believe that he buried his treasures as well. What a powerful dragon chi, said Huang Fulong, walking slower and slower. He was walking around slowly, step by step. Huang Fulong stopped, raised his head and looked around. There was nothing. There were some white clouds in the sky and only dust on the ground. However, Huang Fulong was convinced there would be something there. You also found the place, someone said. Lin Feng and his friends looked at the person coming towards them. TT was Yu Tianji. He had also found the place, but he was frowning because nothing happened there. Nothing happened. I have the strange impression that the great emperor's grave might be here, but I've been turning around for a while and haven't seen anything. It's a boundless and desolate place, said Yu Tianji before continuing. Of course, I could be mistaken. I have the same impression as you, so we can't be mistaken, said Huang Fulong. His blood was flowing quickly as if it were boiling. How could I be mistaken? There's a very powerful dragon chi here, just like you said. If the great emperor's grave really exists, it must be here. I'm going underground to see, said Huang Fulong while taking down his dragon axe. He stomped onto the ground, making it shake and crack. Then he dove in. No use, I already tried that. Yu Tianji shook his head. As expected, Huang Fulong came back out after a while and looked annoyed. He explored the depths of the area but found nothing. The dragon chi is so thick and dense, what could be the cause? Could it be that my ancestor lied to me? Cursed Huang Fulong in a low voice. He felt very uncomfortable, his chi was revolving intensely. Huang Fulong. Lin Feng looked astonished, he was staring at Huang Fulong. Everybody else was looking at him as well. What's wrong? Asked Huang Fulong, surprised to see everyone look at him. He scratched his head in a confused way. Why were they looking at him? On your body, they all stared at Huang Fulong's body. There was a drawing on it. There was a magnificent pattern on his body, the pattern of a gigantic palace. The hologram of a palace was on Huang Fulong's body. What is going on? Lin Feng and his friend's pupils shrank. They inspected it closer but didn't see anything. However, the hologram on his body looked real. Release the strength of your blood spirit and the dragon chi, said Lin Feng as if he had thought of something. Okay, said Huang Fulong, nodding. Even though he didn't understand what Lin Feng meant, he still obeyed and released the strength of his blood spirit and chi. His chi was incredibly powerful, it seemed like dragons were furiously roaring inside. The hologram became more and more distinct. That palace was vast, majestic, it seemed endless. Is that a palace or a grave? Asked Lin Feng to the others. The hologram was becoming more clear. Chapter 802, The atmosphere is collapsing. Why would the hologram have the shape of a palace? Lin Feng and the others' heart was pounding. At that moment, Lin Feng's pupils shrank. He was gazing in the distance and noticed a gigantic palace forming. The illusion was in suspension and slowly appearing. It looked majestic, imposing, like an emperor's palace, containing some chi of righteousness. Is it an illusion? no one could figure it out. No wonder nobody found the emperor's grave before, they had to have real dragon energy to find it. The palace seemed to be a place sealed away from the mysterious world. The great emperor's grave. Finally, they found the emperor's grave, it had to be his palace. They flew all over the mysterious world and now they finally found the great emperor's grave, probably for the first time in 1,000 years. Lin Feng and his friends weren't the only ones to notice, there were many others who were observing in the distance. The reflection of the palace was twinkling in their eyes. They felt excited and nervous at the same time. Was that the great emperor's grave? Dong! In a flash, the whole crowd saw a gigantic cloud of foaming qi condensing into a palace. The atmosphere began shaking, the wind became abrasive and chaotic rays of light shot towards the palace. At that moment, everybody stopped moving and looked at the same thing. There were even some in the sky who were blown away by the furious wind. No matter where one was, if they neared the palace, they would suddenly be far away again. Boom! Sand splashed all around in the storm. The earth and the sky were trembling. Lin Feng and his friends were in the middle of that storm. They could sense an immense pressure, so strong they felt suffocated. That palace is burying everything, whispered Lin Feng. The palace was enveloping everybody, it seemed like they were going to be buried. Let's go, said Lin Feng. Lin Feng's silhouette flickered and ran towards the palace. The others immediately followed him. Lin Feng wasn't the only one, it was everyone's dream to find the palace. They all flew towards the palace. Had the great emperor's grave finally appeared? Did that vast palace contain the most amazing treasures? Because Lin Feng and his friends were already so close to the palace, they were the first ones to arrive. They felt oppressed in front of such a huge and impressive palace. The great and respectful emperor had buried himself in this palace-like coffin. Even dead, he remained dignified. Let's go and see if there is an entrance somewhere. They all began looking around the palace for an entrance. Here. Huang Fulong pointed at a golden dragon. That golden dragon looked full of vitality, its mouth was large enough for several people to enter. Lin Feng, are we going in or not? Asked Huang Fulong. He seemed hesitant, after all, nobody knew if the palace was dangerous or not. Let's see if there aren't any other entrances, said Lin Feng, decided not to enter immediately. Very quickly, he narrowed his eyes and found 9 dragon statues, all of them had their mouths open. Lin Feng and the others were perplexed, they couldn't determine which doors were dangerous, if any. What do you think? Lin Feng asked Yu Tianji. Yu Tianji could use the power of the stars, so Lin Feng assumed he could analyze things better than others. Let's wait. Perhaps others will be able to determine it, replied Yu Tianji. Lin Feng didn't want to take the risk carelessly. More and more were appearing in the area. They obviously realized that the dragon mouths were entrances, but they also hesitated, should they enter or not? I'll take the risk, if nobody else enters, I will. If I manage to choose correctly I'll get the treasures, someone said next to Lin Feng, and entered a dragon's mouth. Ah! A horrible shriek spread in the air. Everybody were suddenly relieved that they hadn't chosen to enter. Boom boom boom, catcha! The atmosphere seemed to be collapsing, the ground was shaking, waves of sands and dust were rolling in the air as a gloomy cloud enveloped everything. It seemed like the world was turning upside down. Ka-ee-ee. A strident sound spread in the air, piercing through people's eardrums. A huge crack appeared in the ground. How scary! What is going on? Thought everyone with their hearts pounding. After the emperor's palace appeared, the atmosphere began trembling and everything turned into chaos. A terrifying death chi had invaded the atmosphere. Are we all going to be buried in the mysterious world? Thought Yu Tianji, gazing into the distance. Deadly chi was rising and enveloping the atmosphere. Look, what's that? Someone shouted. Many glittering, translucent, little spears appeared on the horizon. They were dazzling and contained a terrifying chi. Intent and abstruse crystals. Lin Feng and the others narrowed their eyes. In a flash, Lin Feng jumped into the sky. He shook his hands and dazzling crystals appeared. Intent immediately emerged from the crystals. Lin Feng looked solemn. As expected, they were intent crystals. So many intent crystals, everyone was excited. The wind storm brought intent crystals towards them. Boom boom boom. Terrifying rays of energy invaded the atmosphere. Everybody began flying around to grab the crystals. Even cultivators of the Tian Qi layer would benefit from them. But what everyone wanted the most were abstruse crystals. If they could grab such crystals and offer them to the respected cultivators of their sects, clans etc., then they would earn instant respect and power. You're tuning in to the Blissful Bookshelf YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.